As a farmer, I understand firsthand the hard work, patience, the resilience it takes to grow quality produce, especially in the face of challenges like hurricanes, market shifts, viruses that affect our yield and sometimes our entire investment. So if there's a Negro yam farmer in here, is there any Negro yam farmer in here? You know what I'm talking about. Did you recover anything? Do you still have planting materials? Or did everything? Little bit left. God be praised. We give thanks for small things. So I am honored to serve as your chairperson for today, guiding you through the discussions that I know will not only inform, but it will inspire action. Because yam, it is one of those crops that it is symbolic of agricultural strength, and the future depends on our decision, the decision that we make as a collective, not as individuals. But before we get into a yam-tastic day, I would like to just extend a special welcome to these people that we have in our midst. We have representatives from the government of Jamaica, extension and technical support staff from RADA, research and development from Bodles. We also have input providers like Newport Ferguson. We have Caribbean Chemical. We have Growers Choice. You'll see them all around. So I just want to extend a big thank you and a big welcome, special welcome to these people. And of course, we have buyers, we have our purveyors, we have exporters, we have members of the media, and guess who else we have here? We have our farmers. Big up on yourself. Clap on yourself. Awesome. At this time, I'm going to call Mr. Hubert Thomas, and he is a member of the Kirkvine Joint Community Benevolent Society Content Cluster, and he's going to call down Jesus in here today, because we're not going to leave without having a beautiful experience. You agree with me? So make him feel welcome.
We worship the Lord. Praise God. Thank you, Jesus. Let us all stand, and we're going to bow our heads in reverence to the Almighty God. Praise God. Praise God. Let us pray. When peace like a river attended my way, when sorrow like sea billows roll, whatever my lot thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul. Father, we thank you for this morning. We thank you, God, for the gathering of your people today. Praise God, as we come together, Lord God, in this fashion, praise God, to share and to exhort everyone about the yam and the other rest of produce across the field. We pray, God, that your Holy Spirit will continue to bless your people. We pray, God, that your anointing will be upon everyone. Touch every sector this morning. We ask in your Lord that everything will go in honor and in order in your name. Bless the moderator. Bless every listener today, Lord, as we gather here. We pray, God, that your Holy Spirit will guide and to protect. Have your own way. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Amen. You know, sometimes it is easy to overlook the head cook and bottle washer. I'm not here to give a welcome, but the fact that I mentioned representatives from the government of Jamaica and other input suppliers, I'm obliged to mention and to acknowledge the hardworking team at Wusk Caribbean. Give some noise, make some noise for the team at Wusk. And I see Mr. Munish Prasad right there. He's so hardworking, and he's not going to take all of this credit, but he and Nelson, very hardworking, and it's because of them why we're here today. So I want you to give them one more big round of applause. Thank you so much to the team, the hardworking team from WUSC Caribbean. Now, if you're there somewhere and you don't feel welcome, don't it feel like you want to go back to your yard? I don't want you to go back home today. So please help me welcome Carl Myers, the Deputy Parish Agricultural Manager at Rather Manchester. He's going to come and give a warm welcome. Is it a warm or a cool Manchester welcome? Where's Mr. Myers? And he said that because we're not in Trelawney, he's not going to run. He don't want to break Usain Bolt record. He's just going to walk nice and, you see, cool, calm, and collective. Right, Mr. Myers? We're in Manchester, after all. We have to do things cool. All right? Don't sleep on him, you know. Make him feel welcome while he gives a warm welcome.
Distinguished guests, farmers, stakeholders, and all valued participants, good morning. It is with great pleasure that I welcome you to this Yam Symposium 2025, an event dedicated to strengthening our agriculture sector and fostering meaningful connection between our hardworking farmers and key stakeholders. This year's theme, Empowering Farmers, Connecting Stakeholders, truly reflects the collaborative efforts required to build a resilient and sustainable yam industry. Jamaica has long been known for producing some of the finest yam in the world, a testament to the dedication, skill, and perseverance of our farmers. The importance of yam to our local economy, food security, and heritage cannot be overstated. As we gather today, let us reaffirm our commitment to enhancing productivity, improving market access, and embracing innovative agriculture practices that will ensure growth and sustainability for all involved. RADA remains steadfast in its mission to provide the necessary technical support, training, and resource to our farmers. We recognize that the success in agriculture is built on strong partnership between farmers, government agencies, and the private sector. This symposium provides a platform for dialogue, learning, and collaboration, all of which are essential in advancing Jamaica agriculture landscape. I encourage each of you to actively engage in this discussion, share your experience, and explore new opportunities that will drive the yam industry. Together, we can empower our farmers with knowledge, technology, and access to markets while fostering an inclusive network of stakeholders who are invested in their success. On behalf of RADA Manchester Parish Office, I extend my gratitude to the organizers, presenters, and the farmers for making this event possible. May today's proceeding inspire actionable solutions and forge lasting partnership that will benefit Jamaica agriculture sector for years to come. I wish you a productive and enlightening symposium. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Sir Myers. For other persons well, not everyone here, I assume, is from Manchester. But do you know him? The Manchesterians, do you know him? He should be your best friend. Why? He's from RADA. And without the hard-working team at RADA countrywide, as farmers, I don't think we would survive. I don't think we would do well. Can I get an amen? Amen. So thank you, sir, for representing the entire RADA team across Jamaica. Right now, we're going to call on a very important person. He is the Deputy Director at WUSC Caribbean. His name is Mr. Manish Persard. And we're calling him right now as one of the head cooks, bottle washers, the person who made this happen today. Don't you want to hear from him? And when he's talking, I want you to jot down your little questions, because at the end, there's going to be a little networking session, and we're going to talk to him. We're on the same team? Good. So, farmers, I want you to put your hands together and welcome Mr. Manish Persard. He will be bringing greetings from the team at WUSC. While he's coming, who can tell me something about yellow yam? Is it true that Bolt eat yellow yam, that's why I can't run? So why you can't run? Why you never break the world record? Can you? All right, we're going to test that.
Good morning, everybody. I'm happy to be home again. It's always good to come home. And it's always good to get the warm welcome that I always get in Jamaica. I promise you that I can't match Latoya. I was telling Nelson, if there's one thing I can say about her style, it would have to be rhapsodic. She is really good, and I don't promise anybody that I'm going to try to match her. But in my own way, I'm going to try to say what I want to say. They say in Jamaica, you got for yam yam. It's true? So we can't yam yam if we don't prepare to grow the yam. And that is what this is all about today. They say the yam fields of Jamaica hold more than just the crop. They hold potential. They hold livelihood. They hold food security. It's the heartbeat of a nation's food. And it is too important for us not to give it a serious look if we want to strategize. But like any great endeavor, the journey towards a thriving yam sector, a thriving yam market, is one of strategy. We just heard our friend from the parish talk about resilience, and Latoya herself touched on that earlier. It is about strategy, it is about resilience, and most importantly, it is about bold action. And the amount of farmers that I see here today, and the amount of other market actors, the private sector, input suppliers, the buyers of the yam, the exporters of the yam, the purveyors, the government support services institutions, all are here today because they want to commit to bold action, but they want to commit to bold action based on what they're hearing from every one of you here. I look forward to that. On behalf of WUSC and the SAC project, we extend our warm greetings to all of you gathered here at this critical symposium. A quick word on the SAC project. The SAC project is actually a 5-year project funded by the government of Canada and implemented in 5 countries. Jamaica is the biggest of the 5 countries, but it includes Guyana and Suriname on the eastern end of the Caribbean, and it also includes St. Lucia and Dominica in that small chain of islands there. So it is really good to be here because the rest of the region can learn from what is being discussed here today. This is not just another meeting. This is a rallying call, a moment to push past challenges, confront the realities of market constraints, and forge a new path toward growth, profitability, and sustainability of the yam industry. I do not want to take a whole lot of the time that is given to this, but I do want to say that I wish you all the confidence, the determination to get up and state your viewpoint. The idea of this meeting is not to come here to listen to people who are going to be presenting. That's important. We want you to listen, but we also want you to engage, to share your perspective, to share your priorities. Because as we take bold action, we want that bold action to leave no one behind. Because all we are one family, not true? Well, best wishes.
Thank you, Mr. Prasad. I heard him attempted the Jamaican patois. Do you remember what he said? Nyam yam. We give him a passing grade? Welcome home, sir. Welcome to Jamaica. You passed. Ladies and gentlemen, do you like what we're doing so far? We're coming down nicely. I know most of you don't like school, but I have to take you back to school just for 1 second. Don't stone me. Don't fling any yam up here on me. Did you know that yam arrived in Jamaica centuries ago through the transatlantic slave trade? Who knew that? Our ancestors from the not say too bright. Our ancestors from the continent of Africa brought yam, that resilient plant, to this hemisphere. It became a staple because of its resilience and high nutritional value, providing the energy needed for the enslaved Africans who worked the plantations. Over time, yam farming evolved into an integral part of the Jamaican culture, particularly in Trelawney, which is now famous and is known as the Yam Parish. But very soon, Manchester, St. Anne, and parts of Clarendon, we're going to kick them, don't it? All right. I want to just drop this fun fact in. I was speaking to a senior agronomist last week, and he said to me that wherever you see ferns growing, it means that soil is very good for yam. Anybody has ever heard that before? Where are the older farmers in here? Have you ever heard that before? You've heard that? Very good. So him not tell lie. Very good. So I am now keeping my eyes open for my little area in Clarendon. Wherever I see ferns, I just go and make a new yam feel right there. So, or as my friends say, yam ground. All right? So today, Jamaica is known internationally for producing high quality yams with varieties that are sought after across the world. And which brings us today, the focus on soft yam. So we're not going to be talking about yellow yam today. We're talking about soft yam. And I would like to say more particularly the sweet yam. All right? So that was a little bit of history lesson for you. And I want to put my input suppliers out there, you know, and I want to put you on the spot. You can't go to the beach and carry sand, go to the beach. I only have yam, so I can't carry yam, come here, come give away. They wouldn't take it. So I'm going to put you on the spot. If I ask them a question, which one of my input suppliers can give them a prize? Girls' Choice, did I see your hand? Did I see Newport First and hand? No, sir. Them gone sleep. Caribbean Chemicals, I know I can depend on you. I want a farmer to run up here and tell me where. No, that's too easy. I want a farmer to come up here and tell me how you cook yam. The first farmer, come up here and tell me how you cook yam. Yes, come. So in telling me how to cook yam, you have to tell me what kind of salting it go with. And if you're going to tell me about yellow yam, is a different type of salting go with yellow yam. Is a different type of salting go with Barbie yam. What my people them there? Is a different type of salting go with sweet yam. Who are hear me? Who say no? Make we talk about pum pum yam. Make we talk about pum pum yam. Where pum pum yam go? See it there? See it there? All right. I don't know about the yam. Tell me how you cook yam and tell me which salting you pair your yam with. And the audience are going to tell me if you right.
All right. So if we're doing pum pum yam.
No. You can't talk about pum pum yam. Them don't tell me about soup and pum pum yam already.
We said pum pum yam and they just say soup.
Uh-huh.
If you talk about pum pum yam, you have to talk about red pea soup.
I stand corrected, but you still can't talk about pum pum yam.
So we talk about sweet yam. sweet yam, and saltfish with a lot of tomato in there.
She win? Caribbean Chemicals are sending her over because I know Caribbean Chemical is working, especially with the farmers who lost their crops to the Negro yam, and the spraying and all of that. So, she needs to say how, me say, I'm going to move you up to the front of the class. Front of the class. But Caribbean Chemicals, I'm going to send you over to Caribbean Chemicals. Before you go, tell me quickly how you cook it.
Okay, cooking sweet yam. You allow the water to boil. You put a little salt in there. Then you cut the yam reasonable size. And then you're going to turn down the fire because you don't want it mashed out. Because when sweet yam are cooked and you have too much fire under it, guess what? It just mash out. So you want to turn down the fire and allow it to steam.
All right? I hear people down there saying no, but guess what? Go and run at Caribbean Chemicals. Caribbean Chemicals, when you have the time, tell me one of the products that farmers can use to spray their yams. Shout it out so I can tell them, right? Me hear on a quarrel, everybody cook different. I saw she cook her sweet yam. Anyways, we're moving right along. We will take the debate outside of here. Right now, we are moving into setting the stage. We want you to know why we're here. We want you to know when we leave here, who should you go to? How are you going to hold these people? The WUS team, the RADA team, how are we going to hold them accountable? We can't hold people accountable if we don't know why we're here. And so right now, I want you to put your hands together for a very hard-working, effervescent, listen, adjective almost come out of my mouth and I say it. The curvaceous, the vibesy, the hard-working, Nelsa, English, Johnson. Give her your undivided attention.
All right. Good morning again, everybody. How you do? I see my people. Make we do a quick roll call. Portland, where are you? Yeah, man. Portland people, they here. Manchester people, where are there? All right, I sold few ones. St. Andrew? Yeah, man, my Brandon Hill people are here. What about Portland? Portland, me calling already. St. Elizabeth is here. Yes, Westmoreland. Westmoreland people are here. Who am I missing? St. Anne, and my parish, I'm not supposed to forget St. Anne. Where are the St. Anne people? Yay! All right, who am I missing? St. Thomas. Who else? The good Trelawney yam. Where are the Trelawney people? All right, uno stand up. The two uno stand up. The two Trelawney people stand up. Uno clap them. Trelawney is represented. The Yam Belt is represented. Anybody else? Any other parishes we miss out? St. Catherine. All right, Clarendon. All right, you one come from Clarendon, Latoya. Wonderful. So welcome to all of you. I'm so happy that you are here. And this journey would have started from actually back in 2023. Yeah, man, November of 2023, we started having some discussions as it relates to how is it that we can facilitate support for yam farmers. One of the major challenges that yam farmers outlined was that they were having a challenge with consistent access to planting material. That are true, hard to get yam heads and those things, not true? Yeah, man, rough, especially for the soft yams, the sweet yam, it's difficult to get. And so, as WUS normally does, we set to work to figure out, all right, what role can we play in bringing stakeholders together to see how we can come up with an innovative solution for this challenge. And that is what would have brought us here today. So we're going to get going today. Our Yam Symposium is really about empowering farmers, connecting stakeholders, and you will realize that pretty much everybody who has some kind of input in the yam value chain is in this room. So congratulations and thanks again to all of you for being here. Can I have the next slide, please? Oh, I have the clicker, my bad. Let's see. There we go. All right, so welcome everybody to Yam Symposium 2025. Today we really are laying a platform to engage key stakeholders in the yam industry. It's all about discussing innovations, discussing the different technologies and practices with a focus on the production of seed yam to solve the issues of the consistent availability of clean, disease-free planting material. Today's event is also about connecting the experts, the farmers, the business leaders, so that we can explore together opportunities for how it is that we can help the yam industry to grow. There we go. So we have a few objectives. You know, and then about 5 months down the road, 7 months down the road, sometime we'll go back, go check on it to see what are going on. But with the advent of all the challenges that climate change and variabilities bring, we find that we have to start treat yam like how we treat hot pepper, like how we treat lettuce, like how we treat cabbage, like how we even start treat sweet potato now, because there are so many diseases that are affecting the yams. And I won't get into diseases because we have the technical experts who will be coming to share with you in greater detail. We also want to showcase the impact of using the Minisett technology to be able to rapidly multiply planting material for soft yam varieties. And even though our pilot would have focused on soft yam varieties, the Minisett methodology can be utilized for yellow yams as well. We also want to facilitate knowledge sharing. If you're going to leave Portland, Trelawney, Clarendon, St. Thomas, St. Elizabeth, we want to ensure that when you leave this space, you leave more empowered, you leave with a greater understanding, you leave with more knowledge, because you're already experts in your own right, you know. But even experts from time to time, we need a little catch up, right? Because there are new technologies, there are new innovations, there are new challenges that we always have to keep abreast of what is happening in the sector. The next thing is we want to support the scaling and business growth of yam seed as a viable business. And a little later we will hear from AIC how it is that, you know, a financial case can be provided for the production of seed yams. And of course we want to highlight the important role that each and every one of you plays in ensuring that yams can be elevated as the high value crop that it actually is. So there are 5 key things that when we leave here today, we want to leave here saying, yes, we have these things in place. So one, WUSC partnered with Fersan and St. Jago to run a pilot to test if this Minisett thing can actually work with sweet yams. And the pilot is showing that it can work. So now that we've piloted it, so we took on the risk for you and we did the pilot and we realized that it works, how can we bring the other input suppliers on board who were not a part of this original small trial? How can Growers Choice get involved? How can CCJ get involved? And I saw H&L Agro coming not too long ago. How can these input providers get involved to help us to move this technology out of Clarendon, St. Anne, and Manchester into the Portlands, the St. Thomases, the St. Elizabeths, all the other parishes that are represented here today? We want to ensure that there is an enhanced knowledge exchange, because sometimes when you're trying to do something that might be new, Minisett is by no means new, it has been done many years ago, but we, you know, sometime old-time sinting come back again. Anybody know that one? My grandmother used to tell me old-time sinting come back again. So Minisett, some would say, is old-time sinting, but we're finding use and value in it in our current day situation. We also want to leave here knowing that we have stronger collaborations. So if there are farmers in here, I want when you leave, if you weren't very close to your extension officer, now you have a number. Now you have a direct contact. If you heard about a grower's choice, you never really see them before, but you hear about them. They're sitting right there. You can engage with them, get the number, get the information so that you can have that collaboration. And we also want a clear action plan. We know how we are as Jamaicans. We don't want action. We don't want, we say action, not a bag of mouth. So we want to move from the talking to the doing. We want to see this thing work. But in order for it to work, we need each and every one of you to play your role in ensuring that this technology goes far and wide across the island. And the other thing is, we want to increase investment in the yam industry. It takes money to make money, right? Don't it? Yeah, man. So you have to put your money where your mouth is. It's all well and good to say, yeah, man, I want to see yam scale. But if you're not willing to put, as some people would say, some skin in the game, then, we'll just all keep talking and nothing will happen. So we want some concrete actions. Who is going to hold up their hands and say, yes, I will work with a cluster from Portland. Which input supplier will commit to saying, yes, I will take on St. Thomas or I will take on Clarendon? Which buyer or purveyor might be here to say, well, if it is that the farmers can actually, if we can get a nursery, somebody might be here who say, but I have a nursery operation and this CDM thing look like it makes sense. So I will put up my nursery to say, all right, I will produce the CDMs so that farmers can access it in a more consistent manner. So we want to ensure that there is increased investment in the industry. And so what are we going to do today? 9 quick things. So I want to get welcome already, and you heard all the greetings. I am here setting the stage. Then we're going to have a section that is called Rooting Success. And this is where you will hear a summary of the findings and the results from the pilot. You will also, we have a session called Yams for Tomorrow, because we want to ensure that there is consistency in this industry. So we'll hear from AIC. They're going to share the business case with us for why this CDM thing, it kind of makes sense. And there's money to be made there. And then, of course, voices from the field. We have 2 testimonials for farmers who are going to share their own experiences going through the pilots. And one person who, she never even was a part of the pilot, but she saw the technology and saw that it made sense, and she went out on her own to begin the initiative, and she's going to share her success with you. And then we have a section that is called Rooted in Knowledge, and this is where our RADA will come and they will share with you some really great information, especially as it pertains to what is the most prevalent disease affecting yams now. Say it a little louder. Yam rust. So you will get an extensive presentation in terms of how it is that practically you can know what it is, what to do, who to call, and so forth, if it is that it shows up in your yam ground. And then we're going to have a panel discussion. So it's hearing from the input providers. Jampro is here. And say anywhere Jampro deal with big money, right? They're the ones who drive export. Yes, Miss Marlene, I see you smiling with me back there. So they are the ones who will help to drive the exports. And then we have from pilot to progress. So WUSC has partnered with Growers' Choice and Fersan to pilot this initiative. What next? Now we have to grow this thing. We can't keep the good news to ourselves. It is time to spread it far and wide. And we'll have Munish who will come back to kind of guide us through that process. And then at the end of that, I know that you are eager to go and find out about all the products and what CCJ has and H&L has and all the other input providers. You will get an opportunity to go and talk with them. AIC is here. Maybe if anybody is interested in lands in an agro park, you have your AIC people here. You can have those discussions. So all the actors that you need, they are here for you to have a networking session with them. So in a nutshell, that's what that's what we want to achieve today. I'm going backwards. All right. So final slide. Moving forward together. By the end of the symposium, we want to all commit to collective action so that we can transform the yam industry together. So not just government, not just input suppliers, not just farmers, but all of us pulling together, we can ensure that there's a sustainable availability of high quality seed yams, and we can create economic opportunities for all. What does that mean? Farmers have a space where they can make money. Nursery operators have an opportunity to make money. Input providers will be able to make money because you're going to be treating yam as a high value crop. And so all the players, the buyers will have more. Jampro can now branch out into new jurisdictions because we'll have more yams that can be exported. The local housewife who like our little piece of yam to make our chicken soup a Saturday daytime, everybody will be able to benefit from the industry. So that is it for me. Thank you so much. And we look forward to what is going to be a very interesting and informative day. Thank you so much.
Wow! Are you feeling better now? Do you know what we're about? Do you know what you're getting into? Do you know which one of the pots you'll be jumping into? And which one you'll be jumping out of? So as I said before, I'm a farmer, right? I plant yams, yellow yam and negro yam, but my negro yam them dead off. When they come around with this thing about spraying yam, even before the virus came, I work closely with, I don't want anybody to say that I am partisan, so I'm not going to say which one of the fertilizer giants I got my start with. And they basically introduced me to a line of product that they said that I was supposed to spray, right? When I tell my worker, I have 7 men. 7 of them work with me. I call them my 7 man. So when I tell them, this is what we're going to do, we're going to spray the yam. In a true Moko language. No, sir, what kind of foolishness that? I never hear about yam spray yet. Now you can imagine if the people them just spray me yam. I could have still have some nigger yam head right now. So what we're going to do as farmers, farm hands, whatever you are today, whoever you are today, we're going to conform to the new technology. Say to the people them with upon your farm, I go say, I never see yam spray yet. Lego them. And learn to do it yourself. So we have to do it, so that them can do it. All right? Amen? So we're going to play a little game. Just 1 second. I don't want them stone me up here. Say I'm taking too much time. When I call an input supplier, you're going to shout out the product that you know them for. So when I say Newport Fertilizer, what you going to say? See it there? Newport Fertilizer. Grower's Choice. Organic fertilizer. Them new. May I help you now? Me not hear. Bombardier. That's Grower's Choice. Tell me it again. Grower's Choice. Grower's Choice. St. Jago Farm Store. Seeds. Nobody not know that? Come on, could try again. St. Jago Farm Store. Equipment. So St. Jago. Chicken. All right, you don't have too much. So let's go again. Grower's Choice. St. Jago Farm Store. Newport Fertilizer. Newport Fertilizer. Caribbean Chemicals. Bellies. See the sign there? Come, let's go again. Caribbean Chemicals. Chemical and seed. Is that true? Who am I missing? H&L Agro. H&L Agro. Somebody say everything. All right. So no input suppliers. Now, let's go back to business. Not many people immediately think of the firm, starchy yellow yam. When you hear about yam, it's the firm, starchy yellow yam you think about first. Not many people think about the soft yam varieties. Do you know how many soft yam varieties there are? Well, I'm going to tell you about 4. We have the renta yam. We have white yam. Which one is the white yam? Which one them call white yam? Sweet yam? Which one them call white yam? The All right, I'm not hearing. One person tell me. All right, so you have renter, you have white yam, you have sweet yam, St. Vincent, what we call the Sylvincent yam. Sylvincent yam, and from the Sylvincent you have what? Dark night. All right, dark night cook with chocho and saltfish and whole heap of oil. No yam. So soft yams are not just delicious. They hold great potential for farmers looking to expand the market, as they appeal to both the local consumers and international buyers who are seeking diverse yam option. So in this segment, we're going to look at the economic and agricultural importance of the soft yam. Soft yam may not get as much attention as the firmer counterparts, but they play a crucial role in our food industry. They mature relatively quicker. Is that true? They can be grown on different terrains. Is that true? So you can grow them up on the hillside and down low. And they have strong export potential. I know for the Jamaican market, it's mostly the sweet yam that we export. That's correct? Who said no? Tell me, correct me. No, we're not talking about yellow yam. We're talking about the soft yam variety. So from the soft yam variety, we mostly export the sweet yam. And renter, didn't know that we export renter, so thank you for that. All right? So the big question is, how do we scale production? How do we ensure that farmers are getting the best returns? And how do we use research and innovation to improve yield and quality? That is exactly what our next speakers in this segment will be talking about. And so, our first speaker in this segment, I'm looking for her. She will be talking about seed yam for inclusive growth. Her name is Miss Shalini Seaton. She is the project officer at Wusk Caribbean, Jamaica. Where is Shalini? Is she somewhere cooking some yam? What kind of yam is she cooking? While Shalini march, or should I say model her way up here, I want you to put your hand, me say, watch my resident clapper sitting right there. All right, Shalini, make her feel welcome.
Hearing me now? All right, awesome. Good morning, everyone. All right, so the morning sounds a bit more lively, so good. We're all in keen, we're all paying attention. So this morning, we want to, as you heard, my CC came this morning and just basically laying the foundation, telling you what's gonna be happening today. So you know that we took on this project pilot, and in everything that you do, you always hear them say, the proof of the pudding is what? All right, what that mean? So you have to you carry out the experiment, and it's based on what you get from it, right? So you can make decisions from that. So we actually took on this project pilot using sweet yams. We know that the sweet yam sector has been plagued by pests and diseases. So one of the things that we wanted to do, we know that we're having problems with planting material. So we're saying, okay, what can we do within the sector to actually improve that or to change that? So, and here we came up with that. The idea was launched to how can we improve seed yams, the production of seed yams? Because most of the times persons are having problems with, you can't get the yam heads, and I know you've been hearing that a lot. So we know we have yam head shortage. So here's where we're going to tell you now about the production of seed yams. So as it says here, rooting success, adapting, expanding, and scaling rapid planting material. We're having a problem within the sector, and we need to basically change that. We need some seed yams. So just as how you buy your peppers and you get your seedlings, we're trying to see how we can actually get some seed yams to improve and increase yam production. Oh, it's in my control. So here we're going to be taking a comprehensive look at the seed yam production. All right, good. All right, So this pilot was actually launched because we wanted to assess the production of high quality seed yams. We don't want the ones that are actually plagued with disease and viruses. We want high quality. So we use this particular technique called a Minisett technique, and we'll go into detail about how this technique is actually done. And when we talk about Minisett technique, what are we talking about? Usually you'd go and you'd plant your yam heads. We're going to show you now, and persons may have already seen, but for persons who are new here and don't know about it, we're going to be showing you or telling you what we talk about getting our sets and getting seedlings from that to plant to get our seed yams. So we conducted this pilot across numerous sites. We had 5 sites in Clarendon, in Manchester, and in St. Anne. And we wanted to ensure that there was consistent access to disease-free planting material and to enhance the productivity. So the study involved preparing and planting yams, the sets, monitoring the growth, and evaluating yield outcomes. That's how we're able to come here to tell you that, hey, this method actually works. So the results that we got from this pilot is indicating increased multiplication rate and improved quality of seed yams, and demonstrating that the technique is viable. Or I'm going back. All right. So most of the farmers here know, for me, I have to walk and talk. So most of the farmers here know that the traditional planting method, you get your yam head, so you reap your yams, you cut off the heads, and usually you plant that. We're basically saying that if that happens to be diseased or plagued, then there's going to be a transferal, right? And once you introduce external elements, you cut your yams, you're introducing them to external elements. So for this method, we're saying that the pilot is aimed to evaluate this technique, and we want to show you how we can improve seed yam production. I keep going back. All right, so the key challenges. You see the big, we're telling you that, hey, we're having a problem with planting material. So the yam industry, a vital contributor to the agricultural sector, but we're facing some challenges because we have limited access to planting material. The shortage compounded by, what's the main disease, the pest and disease that's actually affecting the yams? All right, so compounded by, so the shortage of the yam heads, compounded by the pests and diseases, restrict the farmer's ability to expand production and negatively impacting the domestic supply. So nowadays, I'm not sure, when was the last time anybody in here had a piece of sweet yam? Anybody in here? When was the last time? When last you had yours? Yesterday? All right, you're lucky then, man. Most persons, when you look on the plate, usually persons would have the sweet yams lined out on the plate with your sweet potatoes and your other tubers. We're finding that the yams are basically decreasing, right? So we know that there is an issue. And for large-scale farmers, if I say that I want to go into producing yams and 10 acres of yams, we know that we're going to be having problems getting yam heads to plant out 10 acres of land. And if we're talking about business, because remember, agriculture is a business, right? So it's there to make money. So if we're going into this sector and we say we want to make money, and we're going into, say, 5 acres, how easily would you be able to get yam heads to plant out 5 acres of land? So the objectives of this project pilot was, 1, we wanted to assess the feasibility of efficiently multiplying seed yams using this particular technique. And the next thing that we wanted to do, we have to evaluate the growth. So we want to see if it's feasible, but then we also want to see if it's going to produce the quality that we want. So we want to assess the growth performance, we want to see the disease resistance, and the yield of the yams that the seed yams that we're actually producing. And last but not least, we want to determine the potential for large-scale production. Remember, I just spoke about the fact that if I want to go into this as a business, I'm going to have a problem. So this is where now the seed yam comes into play, where, hey, I can upscale, I can therefore multiply and increase my production. So the materials that went into this, take for instance, it's an experiment. I guess I'll be much, much younger than a lot of persons here. But if you have kids who would have their science SBAs, you know that they're listed out the varying materials that they'd use, right? They give the abstract, you give your discussion, and you state what exactly did I need for this experiment. So the project, it required one, and this is what we definitely have to emphasize. You want disease-free whole yams. So it's whole tubers. So when you dig the yams, usually, to get your planting material for the next season for your traditional method, you'd cut off the head. For this one, we're saying no. We want the bruise-free. We want whole and intact yams. Roughly for an acre, you would need, and this is something that you will see that will come out in the business case, where you'll see that all you need is about 150 pounds to plant out an acre. Now, is there any seasoned yam farmer here? No? Nobody? Seriously? All right. So for an acre of land, you need approximately 3,000 pounds of yam heads. So for this particular technique, we're saying to you that, hey, what you need is 150 pounds of yams that you therefore dissect to get your seed yams. And we'll show you the photos as we go along. So you need your 150 pounds. These days, I know average cost of sweet yam is like $300 a pound, depending on where you are. You need your knife, because remember, we're going to be cutting up these tubers into smaller sets. You also need, it's very important for us to emphasize this, that one of the things that we don't want to do, and one of the things that why the yam sector has been plagued, is because we always have to be cutting. When you go to the market and a person says that they want 3 pounds of yam, when you have the big yams and you have to be cutting them up, the knife that you use, and you maybe go to the bush and it might touch something, and you're introducing it to external pathogens, and you're basically transferring that disease. So once you start cut the yam, from you cut the yam to get the yam head, you're leaving that yam open for disease entrance, right? So you need to have a bleach solution where you actually disinfect your knife. So after you go through and you cut every tuber that you go through, you'd be disinfecting your knife. And as I said, this is something that we will have a testimonial from a farmer who actually wasn't a part of our pilot. She saw the information, she heard about it, and she went into it herself, so we can all learn about this. So one of the things that we did in terms of establishing nursery, we had things like coir. You can use coir, or persons actually use sawdust. Because what we're doing is we're leaving these sets. Remember, we don't want them exposed too much, So we cover them, we're leaving them, we have to spray them with fungicide. And a lot of times, persons would actually dip their sets or whatever you're planting into solution. What we're telling persons to do is to spray. We don't want the cross-contamination. So you spray your sets, you leave them, and we allow for germination. And just to tell you about the site selection, so as we said, we had our site selections. They were in Manchester, Clarendon, what am I leaving out? St. Anne. All right, so we talk about the selection of your tubers. You need to have whole tubers that really and truly are not bruised. You need them intact. And in terms of cutting, you need to be able to clean after each cut, after each yam, so you don't have the transferal. And then we're going to show you how it is that we actually treat them and plant them out, and then what comes thereafter. Now, let me go back to here. Field management is very, very important. I know you heard Nelsa, who came up here, and she was saying, back in the day, people would have just plant the yam, them leave it, and 9 months after you come back. What we're putting out here is that yam is a crop, and it's a business. So you have to monitor it. So just like how you don't monitor the sweet pepper and every other crop because you want to make money, you have to monitor your yam. It is a crop, and with climate changes and all of that, we have to monitor it. So the methodology. So this is how, imagine you have a whole yam. We have a whole yam. These are some students that we actually had at one of our pilots cutting up the yams. So those are the sets that you will see there. Where is it being shown? Okay, yeah. So those are the sets that you'll actually see. So you cut up into 2 to 4 ounce sets. You're spraying on your fungicide. So that's our little nursery that we have there. We call it our seed bed. So it's actually, you place your sets. Ensure that they're beside each other, not overlapping. You spray on your fungicide, you cover, you see the farmer there in the third third slide, or third image, where she's actually covering with the coir. Then the next, when sprouting begins, this is what we would have after we've had the germination, right? So, to our first image on the slide right there, we have our seedling. So you see that little, you see usually like how you would have the sweet pepper seedling that you'd go and you transplant. So we have our seedling, we have our planting out, and in this method, one of the things that we are encouraging farmers to do is climate smart practices, and also to reduce cost. Now, your average cost, I was told by a farmer, and if you can correct me if I'm wrong, how much for a bundle of yam sticks? Well, we can come to the farmer right here. How much for a bundle of yam sticks? How much in your area? Do you know? Mm-hmm. 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 Plus the transportation. Uh-huh. So right there. So one of the things that we're introducing and we want to expose farmers to is we want a climate smart way and we want a cost efficient way. So we introduced trellising. So you no longer need to get your yam sticks. Yam sticks by the bundle, and a farmer told me, as Latoya just said, it's 100 in the bundle, and the average is 12,000 to 14,000. So imagine if you are planting out 1 acre, and I based on the farmers, or based on RADA, that would tell me that you would have on average 1,200 hills per acre, right? Right? All right. So imagine if you have to be buying bundles to facilitate that. How much money that? So if the 12,000 times the, maybe my maths now works, so help me out. So we see where we're going, right? So we introduced trellising. Now when you buy the cord, which is definitely climate smart in terms of you don't have to be cutting down your trees. You don't have to be cutting down your trees to get your yam sticks. So we introduced trellising. Trellising, then to our last image that we have there, you see what we have there, right? Lush green vegetation, providing that we are managing the crop properly. Now, into the data now. The sites and location that we had, I will go into 2 major ones that produced the desired seed yam that we actually wanted. So, as we said, we piloted with First and St. Jago. So the number of Minisets that were actually planted out in content, just to give you the data, to tell you what we bring across the point that we're trying to get out. We planted 1,290 sets. So remember, the first image, that's a sets, right? And that would come from, remember we said an acre of land, we need 150 pounds of yam that we'll actually cut up. Come down to here, where from we used 1,290 sets. And from that, we got 1,285 pieces of seed yams. So that's whole yams that we actually reaped. And the quantity of yams that we planted, so to get that 1,290, the 200 pounds of yams that we actually planted, and the total yield that we got, 953 pounds. So what we're trying to tell you is that the method is actually working. So if you produce, if you actually planted 200 pounds and you're reaping 935, we're doing the math? Are we doing the math? All right. Now, this is a seedling that we started out with, and this is the average or the desired seed yam that we'd want to actually produce at the end. So we plant out that, this is our seedling, and we are actually getting this as our crop, right? And I know we spoke about wastage. One of the things that we're aiming for is we want the smaller size yams. We want the housewife yams, so that you don't have to be cutting. I go to the market and I know I don't want the big old yams because I have to be cutting it and go through. So you have your average size yam, which is about 3 to 4 pounds or 2 to 3 pounds. You don't want more than that. So the results across each site, what we found in terms of germination rate is that there was nothing below 85%, which means majority of the sets that we actually planted, they germinated. There was germination. And then the incidence. So we did see signs of leaf rust and we did have signs of anthracnose. But guess what happened? Remember, we talked about our input suppliers, so we talked about first and we talked about St. Jago. So this is why we actually have crop care management, because with help from them and with institutions such as RADA coming on the scene, looking, diagnosing the problem, then we're able to figure out what's wrong and how we can actually remedy this situation. So the yield increase are based on the recommendations from our input suppliers, and we have from RADA telling us what to do. We were able to correct the problem, and we were able to have this level of productivity. So as you said, the yield increase that you see there, you have an average from 151% to 367%. Oh Lord, I'm talking too much. All right. So this slide that we have here, I want to bring across a point. Remember I told you about this project is aimed at producing seed yams. Now, I'm not sure if you're able to see, if you go down below material inputs, or if you can't see, that's fine. Material inputs heads, on average, for an acre, if you're going to be planting 2 to 3 pounds of 3-pound heads in one hill, then on average you'd need about 6,000 pounds of yam. And the average cost, well, this was back in the day. The average cost now for yams, pounds of yam, is 300. So if you do the math, then you can see how much money you'll have to invest to actually be producing your seed yams, so you can have a replication of your production cycle. So for this method, we're saying that you don't need a 6,000 pounds of yam heads anymore, because we're trying to get to you that you can change a way in which you're producing, or a way in which you can get the production that you desire by actually investing in seed yams. All right, so the site-specific production outcomes, Shudley and content, those are the ones that really and truly produce the desired seed yams that we want. And one of the things where you will hear where RADA and the other input suppliers will come in to tell you what it is that you actually need, what's the nutrient content that you would need to produce the average seed yam. And First Sun definitely has a detailed document on that as to what we actually use at our sites. Now, the lessons learned from our pilot, one of the things that we have to talk about is pest management. So we have to maintain and monitor your crop. So it's not something that you can leave and go on. You have to monitor. So on average, you need about 2 or 3 days out of the week to come, to look at your plot, see what's happening, and actually monitor. It can't just be left alone. It's enough money upon yam, you hear? Harvesting techniques. Now, one of the things where, and we had a video of this, where we had a farmer who was actually reaping for us at Walker's Wood. You want to maintain about 1 foot, the distance from the vine when you're actually reaping. Because remember, we don't want to bruise the yam. So if it's a case where you're going to be plowing, and the yam hill is here, and you're going to put the fork here to dig up the yam, what you might have happening? You damage the yam. So we recommend that at least you are 1 foot distance from where the vine is, so you can dig up, and you dig up around the yam so we don't introduce any bruise to the yam. The storage. We want you to, or we recommend for you to use ventilated areas. Free-flowing air, because one of the things that we don't want is we don't want too much moisture. Because then moisture will introduce fungus, right? So we want well-ventilated areas. And also for the timing considerations, what we found is that the recommended times for planting the yams is between April and June. Now, the market potential and the next steps for how we want to scale and how it is we aim for this to actually scale. We invited you all here because we want to show you the potential. We've already gone through, we started this pilot, and we've seen the potential, we've seen the results. So now we have to inform and update and educate all the different market actors to say, hey, this is happening, this is the potential, how it is that we can move forward. So the stakeholder engagement, we want the purveyors and we want the buyers. But you know who we definitely want as well? And you're all here? We want the farmers, right? Because the farmers, there's business here. So we want you to see the potential of this and how it is that you can actually improve in this sector. So it's there for expansion. Expansion and funding. We have to put with money where we're out there. So if you want to invest in a particular crop, or if you want to see scale in a particular crop, we have to put some money in there, right? As Nelson said, you put some skin in the game. Because you have to put the money if you get the results. You don't just drop on your feet, right? So we invite everybody here to say, okay, what part can you play? As a buyer, how it is that we can form some linkages with our farmers to say, when I produce, you will actually come and buy. And the sustainability and replication, this particular production area ensures that there is year-round supply. So no longer will I need to say, okay, I need to plant out 5 acres and I have to wait, or I am insufficient, there's insufficient planting material. With the seed yams, with the production of seed yams, you're ensuring that you have planting material all year round. And also research. One of the things that we always say is that for everything that we're going to put out or we're going to recommend, research has to be there, right? So the SRC has to be there. We know we call in our UE, we want research behind everything. So when we stand up and we talk to you, we know that what we're saying, there is data to actually, to back up what we're saying. And the market dynamics, the global agricultural market is shaped by shifting consumer needs. Their needs, their demands, the trade policies, and the prices, so the fluctuation in prices. So the benefit for each person here, as we know, we're all represented here. So for the farmers, one of the things that we wanted is improve yield, right? And for this particular technique, we're actually seeing that it can improve your yield because it's producing seed yams more rapidly by 30%. The cost reduction, remember we spoke about the cost, the initial cost of planting material. You don't need that much planting material, so therefore, you're not going to be spending that much money. And then the sustainability of it. If there is a demand and there is the market there, I'm telling you, we can all coexist in this space. We can all make money from this space. So once we have the demand and we realize that we have a particular method that can actually supply this demand, then money will come after and it remains sustainable. And the economic growth, we know about that. If we actually can produce more yams, we are improving or increasing our level of, or increasing the amount of exports that we can do with our yams. So now, most of the times you'll hear a person say that, hey, we have yellow yams to export, but what about our soft yams? And so many persons love our soft yams. So we're trying to see how best it is that this sector can be revived. So in closing, the future projections, the future of agriculture will be driven by smart farming, right? So no longer do we want the traditional method where we just, we have to be using our hands to go and to dig the yam hills. Nowadays, you can use a backhoe, just like how you would make your mounds for your actual sweet potato. You make your mounds and you go and you actually dig and plant your seedlings. So we're pushing irrigation, we're pushing climate smart practices. So farming now needs to be smart. It doesn't have to be back in the day where it's all hard and it's all time consuming. Technology can actually play a part. And with that, the need to meet the growing global demand. We know there's the demand there, so how it is that we can actually supply or meet this particular demand. I'm not sure who was actually here for our multi-stakeholder session, but the last time we were actually asking, we want to see who put some skin in the game. So the seed yam production, it has actually started. But now I want to find out, where are you? Which one of the hands are you? You see the gloves there? So we want our research. We want our SRC. We want all our research institutions to come on board. We want our farmers. We want our buyers. We want our input suppliers. So everybody can actually benefit from this, right? So if we all put our hands together, we realize the potential, we realize the demand, it's just for us to get into action. So we've actually started, this is a pilot that has started, and we're waiting for you to come on board, to invest. Definitely we have to talk about, and I'm not sure if Mr. Gentles is here, but one of our major purveyors that has actually put some skin in the game, Sir Gentles. I don't think he's here at this point. He should be on his way. But we want the buyers, we want the purveyors to get on board and put some skin in the game and show us where you're at. Because with your investment, you will see the rewards. Because this is a booming sector. And there's money here for every single person to actually get and to gain. And thank you, everybody. If you have any further questions, you can see us after and ask us about this particular technique.
Are you okay? Stand up a little bit, man. We're at primary school. Stand up and stretch. Who can stretch? Stretch out all of the nigger yam, all of the yellow yam. This morning we came, and my friend over there, she cooked some red pea soup with pum pum yam in there. And then my friend right there, so that is talking to my other friend, she cooked some sweet yam with saltfish, and then she got down to CCJ and she collected her prize. And there were some people, you can sit, you stretch already. There were some very important people who came in late. They didn't get any of our soup or red pea soup. They never get any of our saltfish and yam. But it was good, right? And later on we'll cook some more. So I just want to pause to highlight some of our stakeholders who came in after we started. Miss Marlene Porto, she is the manager, agribusiness Jampro. Give her a big clap like how we clap the other people them this morning. Where is Miss Porto? Wave your hand. Nice. See her around about there? Yes, she's from Jampro. We also have Mr. Ronald Thomas. He's the chairman, Kirkvine Joint Community Benevolent Society, the content cluster. Where is he? Yeah, man, him right around there, so wave your hand so everybody can see you. We have Mr. Harold Graham. He's from Isratech. Where is Isratech? Where's Mr. Graham from Isratech? He's right there as well. Yes. Welcome, welcome. We have the team from H&L Agro. And we also, where's H&L Agro? See them over there, so give them a clap to know. Nice. And we have the team from Jamaica Bauxite Institute. Where are you? Jamaica Bauxite Institute? See him there. You feel welcome, sir? Very good, very good. So thank you so much. This is my little cheerleading team, you know. Cheerleading team, give yourself a clap. Them always a clap. Nice. Where's the selector? We want like a song. You want like a song? Selector? Boss a yak stuff for we no please. How am there? It seems like selector gone, but he must sleep. Must sleep. But in the meantime, in between time, we heard Miss Seaton. She spoke about the great potential that exists for our sweet yam farmers and even yellow yam farmers if we're going to do things differently, if we're going to adapt to the technologies and the new practices. I heard about maths and money, and my ears just perk up. Let me see all of the hands of the women them in here. We love money. It is an indication. It is an indication that we're going to implement. No, she won't tell me say we love money, but we love our own money. All right. So this is an indication that we're going to follow the method that has been tried, tested, and proven. We don't want to be spending no whole heap of money. Forget back a little bit of money because we know how it is with the yam, right? So we are going to be listening to what Miss Seaton said. For all of my yam farmers in here, we know how labor intensive it is. To sit down and beat up the yam. Let me see all of the hands of the people who know to beat up yam. See it there? We're not farm fool, we are farm yam. So we know what it is like to sit down and beat up the yam. And then somehow we can't dig the hill. Me not dig the hill, but me know how to dig it. So we have to pay people to dig the hill. And then we walk with the yam on we head and drop them on the hill. And then we turn around and we pay people for go cut yam stick and carry it. And then we broke through the ground. Who know about broke through the ground? So see there, yam not just come so. It's a whole heap of hard work. Not true? Farmers, clap yourself. This side is working very hard. It's like a cheerleading side. I am trying to win over this side. Trying to win over this side. So we are in our competition to see which side can clap the loudest. This side. This side. Nice. Thank you. Thank you. So you know that we're Jamaicans. And we like to test things. We don't like the bag of talking. Nelson said it earlier. Action, not a bag of mouth. You see you? We don't like the bag of mouth. We like actions. And so right now, we're going to jump a little bit. We're not going to be calling the representative from AIC right now. We would like to go to the field. We want to hear the voices from the field. We want to hear these people who do it already. We want them to come and tell us, say, look here, we never carry no yam pan we head. We never carry no yam head pan we head. Right? We did have them planting material right here, so, and we cut them. This is what we do. And we did only plant 200 pounds, and then we get 900 pounds. When we hear them, something them ears perk up. And I know if your ears perk up too. Long time. So, I want to welcome Keisha Vassell, farmer, Kirkvine Joint Community Benevolent Society. Come on up here, Miss Keisha. Come tell us how to make all of the money in a yam. Is that Miss Keisha walking? Yeah, man, clap her, clap her, clap her while she come. Clap her. Yes, Miss Keisha, come on. Music man, you find any song for we yet that Miss Keisha can walk to while she coming up? Yeah, man, all of the female farmers them in here just stand up and wave. Make we smile. Miss Keisha, come tell us how to make money out of yam. All right, Miss Keisha.
And she was beauty to my eyes. I asked her where she from, she tell me in the tropics. She asked me what's my name, I tell her I am Connie. And I said, girl, tell me what's your name. And she tell me that her name is Jamaica. And
the farmer from the Williamsfield Content Cluster. I plant sweet peppers, but this yam project come on board, and so I'm looking forward to that. So just to give a little review of what really happened down by the greenhouse. So in January of 2024, Mr. Donald Robinson and the WUSC/SAC project were given permission through the Joint Council to engage in the sweet yam planting material multiplication program using one of our greenhouses. Now, when these persons came on board, we were very excited as a farmer because from I know myself, I never see yam grow in a greenhouse. And so I was very excited, and some of the farmers were very excited as well. Why is this important? One of the reasons, and I don't have much to say because they say everything almost about the yam, but one of the main important for this project is because farmers who planted outside were losing their crops to pests and diseases. So that is the main reason for this project. And so it is very important for the farmers to get back on their feet and to start growing again. So preparation in Williamsfield Content started in March. So what happened, we set up a work day for training, and so we started cutting up the the sweet yams head into Minisets. So when you get a piece of yam, we would cut it up into 2 or 3 to 4 pieces. And then now what we do is to make a little nursery and plant that in so that it can help to finish plant out the greenhouses. Another work day was set, and so we wanted to plant out the whole greenhouse now. So we make up 4 beds in the greenhouses, and so we cut up the yams and finish plant out the greenhouses and to get the yams going. Other work days were arranged to chalice the yams. And I was a part of that. I love the chalicing because in the greenhouses where I do my sweet pepper, I do a lot of chalicing. And farmers who do sweet peppers in greenhouse can be attest to that. So I like the chalicing. So many work days were organized, and so we could able to do that and make it a success. But the yams could not grow on their own and be successful if it weren't for our nutritional fertilizer and pest management producers who help us to make this happen. So we received some help from the Newport, First Son of Jamaica and St. Jago supplies to apply these fertilizers to make the yams what it came out to be. The yams did great, but I'll talk about that further down. We got a lot of visitors from the SAC and from RADA Input Supplies. They were a big support. JBI, and we get some visitors from the UWI, NCU, Borders, and we don't want to forget about our students. We have these students on site. They came for job experience, so we, the farmers, train those students to go out in the working world so that they can know what to do when they're doing their greenhouse farming. So we train them. So with those suppliers, and we get those help from RAD and all those chemical, the plants did very, very well. So it's time to reap. We reap in January 7. We reap in January. So our work day was planned in January 7th and 8th. And the numbers of our farmers who showed interest came on site and, engage in this reaping. So when we reap the sweet yam, we trim it, they weigh it, and the recording of the data of the yam was carried out. And I tell you, I'm not exaggerating. It's like we plant a pound of the yam and we get like 100 pounds. So the yam did very, 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 very well. But we observe some things going forward. We observe as a farmer that the plants did extremely well, but there were some lacking on our part. We know as a farmer that the ground preparation for planting is very important. But because of the importance of this project, we went ahead and we just make up the beds and plant the yam. And it did very well. So you can imagine now if we did do the ground preparation, how marvelous that would come out to be. So we don't want to forget that, farmers. Our preparation is very important when we are doing our farming. We don't want to just plant because we want to plant. We want to be successful and make money in farming, because farming is a very hard job. It's not easy. And in order to reap your success, you have to put in the work. And you don't want to put in the work and you didn't do your preparation well. So preparation is key. So, with that observation now, we are going to, the way forward, we will be replanting the yams that were reaped. Some of it we're going to replant that in the greenhouses We are going to plant some outdoors. And I am planning to do some outdoors. I'm going to try it. And I know, ladies, when we put our minds to planting, we are the nurturers. We know how to start the things from baby seedlings and care for them. Because we are women, we are mothers, we just know how to. We were designed to do that. And so when we put our heart and mind to it, we know we are going to be successful. So I'm encouraging all the farmers here to just, who hasn't tried yam as yet, to just think about it and put it into perspective. We want to give a big thank you to our sponsors. Yes? All the sponsors that came on board to help the project a success. St. Jago Farms and all of those that was mentioned before. We want to give a thank you. Thank you to all of you that make this project a success. And may God continue to bless you guys and to continue to help the farmers to be successful. In this particular project, I want to give a special thank you to Mr. King and Mr. Thomas. They have been the front runner in this project. They ensure that these yams get enough water. They were fertilized. They were taken care of. Because the only time that most of the farmers went there otherwise is when we have a work day. But these two gentlemen, they were there all the time, and we want to give them a big thank you to ensure that the crops was successful. I want to give thanks to Mr. Earl Williams as well. He is our team leader. He welcomed this project with open arms and allowing, the project to go through smoothly. He encouraged us as a farmer to, when we see opportunity, we must grab at it, because this opportunity is not going to come all the time. So we want to, when we see these projects, we want to take the opportunity and make good use of it, because we are here to make money. Without money, we can do nothing much. So we want to make sure that when we see opportunity, we don't sit and watch. We want to move to it and make it a success. We want to thank the Joint Council. The Joint Council is a very good team of persons that is working at is handling things at the Joint Council. They give this project an opportunity in Williamsfield in the greenhouse, and through the Joint Council, we have gotten the greenhouses. So the Joint Council is doing great things for the community, and it is helping me as a single mother to even work close to home and can care for my things. So I want to give the Joint Council a round of applause for really helping the community in and out the community. So a big thank you again to all those who assist to make this project happen. Thank you very much.
Standing ovation for Miss Keisha. Standing ovation for Miss Keisha Vassell. Yes, man. Miss Keisha, stand up a little bit now, man, and take the little... Yeah, listen. I listen to you, and it's hard work. And you hear... She compared the crops to her babies. Dedicated lady. Thank you very much, Miss Keisha Vassell. At this time, is the team from Agri Investment ready? No? All right, so let's just move into our other. They're ready? Let's move to our other testimonials. So let's go to Miss Sophia Maraj Patterson. She is the president, Farmtown JAS Group. Where is Mrs. Patterson? Yes, Miss Patterson with the bossy walk. Welcome her, Miss Patterson.
I and I start with crew. Soldiers for Selassie, I army.
Good afternoon, everyone. And big up to our farmers inside here. I know they're bigging up the ladies a whole lot, but men, big up yourself, because I have a very strong one at my side. All right. So I heard about this sweet yam, should I call it project, or probably thing along the way. I'm a farmer, fairly new, just in farming for about 3.5 years now. So you know, say every little drum when knock, me want to be nice. Come here to learn. And me learn fast, you know. Now, when I heard about it, the project was well on its way. So me get some sweet yam, about no more than about 10 pounds. That was like at the ending of July. That time I hear say, boy, it late, you know. Because sweet yam planting time pass. That no fears me. So I got them, cut them up. I never use no sanitized knife, sorry. Enough things I never learn is just by the way. So we beat them up and then we put them in bags. So out of what I had acquired, I actually had 46 bags that I had set. Now, before I did that, one thing I did though was I used a fungicide to treat them. I let them dry. Not sure if that was supposed to have happened for about a week or I should plant them the same time, but I'm learning. But anyway, I did it and planted them out. Now, I understand that Mr. Robinson was running this project. So, you know, reach out to Mr. Robinson and so Mr. get some very good technical help. You know, by this time now though, when I plant them out in the bags, they had reached a stage where I never know says, when they start shoot, you must plant them out. I have a little greenhouse and that's where I intended to plant them. So when they reach about, I don't know, probably about 3-6 foot and they start twine up in one another. At that time I hear say, boy, you should have did plant them out already, you know. So prepare the greenhouse, planted them out in there, but you know, greenhouse, it's not very easy, because it's small to work with. So after we did the hills, planted them out, then I used the trellising method, but of course, we don't have trellis card, so I use trash card. I make up the trellis, and then put them on it, and you know, because them start growing, they have to start twine them up and tie them up on it. Anyway, we did all of that, and that was in August. We treated them, we sprayed them before we planted them out, and then after that, I never really sprayed them until about maybe 2 more months after that, and about 2 more times or 3 more times after that. But it was very, very interesting. They came up. They grew up real nicely. The foliage was just big, fluffy, beautiful, and green. And I do believe that planting them in the greenhouse made a big difference because there were other farmers who did a regular outdoor traditional method. And they had a problem when we were getting the whole lot of rain. Remember, we were getting the whole lot of rain in October, November. Enough of them burned down. When we glimpse inside every now and then, I see them stand up strong and green and pretty same way. And then I realized I miss one little brown or two, but I never make it, but I start spraying more often now. So there's where I get most of the spraying. So after that period, we reaped just about 2 weeks ago till we were very late. And I'm going to show you a couple of what we reaped. I never weighed them, sorry. But the box I have here, we got probably about 2 times this amount full. So we got some like this, some like this. We have some smaller ones like these. And then of course, we had big ones like this one. I don't know, look like sweet yam, but a sweet yam. This one. But then we learned, you know, there were things that challenges along the way, because look at this one. See, what we didn't do was to plow the hill or the ground deep enough or make the hill high enough. So it resulted in quite a few of them not growing to their full potential. But all in all, it was a success, and it's my first time. I remember Mr. Robinson on the phone with me and sending me pictures and videos of what the groups that were in the project were doing. So me just look and follow suit, and this is the result. I think it's very good, very successful, and I'm very, very thankful. The only thing I have to do now is watch over them like hawk. Because my husband decides to finish out it. And me planning now to use them back as planting material. So some of them are going to plant back in the greenhouse to get more planting material, and then I'm going to plant some outdoor. I start preparing the hill already. I think I want to plant the ending of this month into April at the right time. All right, so I'll be doing that. But I just want to say thanks to my husband, and of course I'm from a very vibrant farmers group, and we have some members here with us today, Mr. Galloway and Mr. Campbell, and we're very, very supportive. So this is something that we plan to roll out now in the group because I think it works, and as our former previous speaker said, money can make for it, good, serious money. So thanks, Mr. Robinson, I don't see him, very much for your technical help. And I'm on my way because I have this now to replant, and I'm sure it will be a success based on lessons learned. Thank you everybody for listening, and best wishes.
Before you go, I know it's supposed to be AIC time, but I don't want to break the momentum. I see people eager to ask questions. I'm going to ask Miss Keisha Vassell to come back here, and we're going to take a few questions from the audience. Yes, sir, you have a question for her? Go ahead. It's because what? The hill, she was explaining that the hill wasn't deep enough. The land preparation wasn't done properly. I think it's
not for all of them.
I think it's this one. This one you're talking about?
Yeah, I hear it.
Give him this mic.
Yes.
Miss Keisha, come back here, please. We want to ask you a few questions.
It's because me I say because you know if I because it's the late month or in the greenhouse why the sweet yam be so short. It's because my father used to plant the sweet yam, and them used to be long down and curly and go down. So I don't know if it's because it is greenhouse or the different chemical or whatsoever make them grow bear that like that.
Who can say why? Is there anybody, any technical person? So here is somebody, just a sec.
When you plant the sweet yam from May go down, it bear, you get more yam, more than head. So the head tends to be a little bit, but you get more yam. But when you plant from like March to April, or even February, you get more head. Pertaining to what he's saying, the yam tends to go down more, and you get more head, and you get yam also, but that's what happened.
So basically what I'm hearing, timing is important, land preparation is important, and the nutrition is also very important. You know what I like with Miss Patterson?
Yes.
Other than the fact that Miss Patterson big up him husband. Where's Miss Patterson big, nice, clean husband? Where's Miss Patterson husband? See him there?
Wow.
Round of applause.
Wow. Awesome.
Yes. Other than the fact that she big him up, she is very authentic. She tell you what she do wrong. She said me never follow it right. I'ma start late. But you know what? I am looking at the yams in this box, you know. She said she started out with 10 pounds. 10 pounds, and she said that she reaped 2 boxes. Right?
My God.
It is encouraging.
Yes.
And based on what farmer right there is saying, if she had planted them within the specified time, she would have received more food and less head. And the land prep is very important. All right, so we are hungry. We want to hurry up. Do we have any more questions?
All right, so I got these seeds. I'm not sure. Yeah, these grow on the vine. Here I can plant them. And I'm going to try it. But again, I'm going to need some guidance.
Also, if I may, the question that the gentleman asks, you have to remember, these are Minisett. This is not the original yam head that we used to plant, sir. These are Minisett, so you won't be getting the taller, bigger yams that you used to get from planting.
Okay. Is there any other questions? Any other questions? I want to ask a question for you. If somebody can tell me again, how much money was invested? How much money did you spend to plant this 10 pounds of yams? I know you said you didn't weigh it, but we can just guess.
Right. So if I were to estimate, I would have spent, call it $20,000 for workmanship too, you know.
Let's ask Miss Keisha. Miss Keisha, how much did you plant?
Well, I don't plant any for myself personally. In the group,
Mm-hmm.
right.
How much in the group? How much the group planted?
Well, I would say about, maybe about 3 to 4 boxes of these.
Mm-hmm.
And they cut it up, but the yield was very magnificent.
So you get more than the 3-4 boxes?
It was about, let me tell you, it's almost 30.
So do you know how much money was spent?
No, we don't know how much money was spent.
All right, so that is something that we would like to know. So if one of those persons from Worcester or Rada can give us an idea how much money was spent to plant, say, 10 pounds, and how much pounds did we, was the yield, how much pound did we reap, that would be great for us going forward. Is there any other question? Yes, please. So this is a question for one of the agronomists. One of the agronomists in the audience. Is that an agronomist right there? Sir, are you an agronomist? Are you an agronomist? Can you tell me if the moon phase has anything to do with... Come here, Mr. Murray, right? Mr. Robinson, sorry.
All right, good afternoon. Always answer the question, moon phase in one way. Believe, kill. That's all. So whatever the farmer believes in terms of moon phase, I always try to work with the farmer and infuse the technical information with it. For what we have seen, the best 2 months to plant yams, the sweet yams, and one of the farmers alluded to it already, it's April and June. We realized that if you plant it late, even June and July, like we did at Walkerswood, the yams tend to mature in and around the same time, late December to January, right? So if you are comfortable to work with the moon phase or the farmer's almanac, as the farmer referred to it, go ahead, and we will back it up with the technology. All right? All right, good. All right, and I really want to emphasize, and I think the two farmers did already, I really want to emphasize land preparation. Right? If you look at the yams, they will do you notice. Yeah. So you need to have your land properly prepared in advance. Right? So that is one of the major lessons we learn. Right? And just to say from These all of them were planted in the greenhouse. From this, we'll be able to get about, I would say, nearly 15, 16 sets, 2 ounces sets, right? But what we really hear me at is to get what we refer to as seed yam, which is this. So you wouldn't cut this, although you could cut this again into 2 sets or 3 sets. But we want to produce seed yams that you can plant this as a whole yam. All right? Okay.
Very good. So you're satisfied for now. There's no more questions right now, right? All right. So we're going to, thank you ladies, thank you very much. We're going to move now to the presentation from Agro Investment Corporation. We're asking Ms. Kadia Smith. She will be talking about unlocking the business potential of a sustainable and resilient market. Come on, cheering team, make her feel welcome.
Pleasant good morning. Good afternoon. Where has all the time gone? So, all right, so we have learned a lot, right? We have learned that yam is quite important to the Jamaican people. We have learned that there's some disease affecting the yams. We have learned that the government got involved, set out with an initiative to reintroduce Minisett technology to the yam sector. And we have heard testimonials from 2 of our farmers how much it's winning, right? So, you know, they say out of bad comes good. So out of the disaster, with all the disease, taking up the yam, affecting the yields, there comes a business opportunity. So that's what we are actually here now today to discuss. The objective here is to maximize your yield, maximize your input as an investor. So when I use the word investor, I'll use it interchangeably with farmer, right? Because we're trying to take a business approach now to farming. So let me get this bigger. More visible, right? So, just a little rundown. You already know that yam is a good source of carbohydrates. It's quite popular across the world. A lot of countries, a lot of different nationalities consume yams. There's business opportunity, there's farming, you know, traditional farming that you know. It takes, say, 9 to 12 months to mature, ready for the market, right? So yam is very important to Jamaica. It's actually our #1 traded crop, agricultural crop. Jamaica does not lead in agriculture a lot, but yam is ours, which is the reason, one of the key reasons why the government got behind it, because we have to protect what we have. We're already winning, we can't damage our brand. So we'll see here that the world makes $239 million from the export of yam. And this is information according to the Trade Center, right, in the year 2023, which is the most recent data out there, right? But Jamaica, 22% of the trade, 22.5 is Jamaica's contribution. So with all the countries in this world, Jamaica is #1. And if you should look at the figures here as it applies to export, you will see that Jamaica, the figure for Jamaica here is 42 million. 42 million. China is 25 million. But look at the quantity that is traded. Jamaica traded 10,000. China traded 11. So that can speak to the worth of the yam, how the world view Jamaica's yam, because China do just as much as Jamaica, but we make significantly more money than that of China. So I would say that they want our yam more so than somebody else's. So to get into the business opportunity that exists, we want to set up an area for the Minisett experiment technology to be done. I am not a scientist, I should put that out there. I'm a business student, right? So to say if you have a 2,000 square feet area, right? And you want to put those seedlings on a 5-acre plot of land, the overall cost to set up the business with your material, all the equipment that you would need, the overall cost is $4.7 million. All the input that you'll need to set that business up, right? You get 800 sets. You can have a cycle. You can run that cycle twice per year. Transplant it to your 5-acre plot of land, and you can sell each seedling for 150 Jamaican dollars. Now your MP and your IRR is tools that we use to gauge the success of a business, right? Your IRR basically tells you how much money you're going to make on your initial investment, on that $4.7 million that I mentioned earlier, right? So your IRR, internal rate of return, it's quite large, which means that 489%, it means that you're going to make a lot of money on that $4.7 million, a lot, right? Your NPV is $203 million. Your average annual net profit is $36 million. Average annual net profit, $36 million. That means that after you take all, if you took a loan, you pay your bills, all your operating costs, you pay all of that. Your average annual net profit. So after you pay all of that, the money that you have back, $37 million. And over a 10-year period, if say you save all the money, you didn't spend any of it, if you should save all that money, it's projected to be $362 million that you can make from this initiative over a 10-year period. So I'm from AgriInvest. AgriInvest specializes in leasing government-owned lands. And I know some of you are already farmers. In the event that you would like to expand, AgriInvest is open for business. We have 795 hectares of arable lands. And the applications have been open from June last year, and it's still open. So lands are still available. And the lands, they are within prime locations, it's fertile, and it's specially suitable for cultivating yam. So applications are open, applications are available online on our AgriInvest website. And our website is www.agriinvest.gov.jm. And this marks the end. Thank you.
Just the way we like it. Are you through? I have to ask you again. You finished with your presentation?
Yes.
You finished?
Yes.
Just the way we like it. Nice, short, and spicy. And about money. Who can remember anything she said about money? Who can remember? You only remember about the 37 million. You don't even remember what the 37 million was about. But guess what? Agro Investment Corporation. Yes, sir, you have a question? All right, very good question.
Excellent. So we have lands on our SPAD project, which means the Southern Plains of Jamaica. It's our aim to have agricultural lands along the Southern Plains of Jamaica. Currently, what we have available is lands in Clarendon and St. Catherine. Specifically, Amity Hall, Bridgepen, Spring Plain, Ebony Park, Parnassus.
Clarendon and St. Catherine.
Coming, it's upcoming. Amity Hall and Bridgepen.
And the fact that you ask where those lands are, let me just tell you, them have water here.
Fully irrigated. And I should let you know that our lands come with agricultural support team, cluster coordinators that assist you with marketing, technology transfer officer. Them are the nice people that know things like Minisett technology, all the scientific, the new innovations in agriculture. They transfer that information to the farmer. We have farm managers that will guide you. So if you're not 100% too sure, what your next step should be, we have farm managers that will guide you. The aim of the AgroPark program is to get you to plant and be successful. That's all we want. Plant, be successful. Sure. Any other questions? So the lands are available for $20,000 per acre per annum. Right, so it's at a cost and it's below market rate. It's always below market rate. Generally, for something like yam that we call a cash crop, we give you a 5-year lease. If you're a good farmer, and a good farmer is defined by how you plant. The first rule is to plant. So if you're a farmer that cultivates, you don't have the land there idle, then renewing your lease is not a problem. And AgroInvest is not in the business of removing farmer to put on farmer. So we are pretty much lenient. Yeah. So no other questions? My name is Kadia Smith, and that's my contact information. I'm available to assist anybody wants to apply for land, and I'm over there by our little booth section. Okay, so we'll keep in contact. We'll keep in contact. You can watch the print media because we normally advertise whenever new lands become available. Yes, it's not showing now because I disconnected, but it's AgroInvest, www.agroinvest.gov.jm. www.agroinvest.gov.jm. And if you look us up and ask for Kadia Smith, you'll definitely reach me. All right, have a good day.
Round of applause for Agro Investment Corporation. We're coming down nicely. Who hungry? You know, when we don't have food to eat, we turn to music. And I don't want the music. We soon get food. See, I'm down here with you. I am standing in solidarity with you. I'm hungry too. You see, this talk about yam and all kind of something, it just make me hungry. Right now, I think about yellow yam and some salt fish and all of them something there. And see one Rasta here call me and tell me how to do yam stew. We do yam stew? No, me don't know. No, I don't know what them preparing. I am here just like you. So, Rasta, do we do yam stew? Because Rasta stew everything. Is there a yam stew?
Yeah.
Tell me.
If you do it for yourself. No, if you do it for yourself.
If me do it for myself? So tell me how you stew your yam.
You cut it up fine. Like how you do coconut normally and stew it with other things.
Stew it with other things. Hear they? I never ever know say you could make yam stew, but me I go home go make some yam stew. Alright? Now, I am down here because we are getting ready for our panel discussion. And in the panel discussion, we will be talking about, let me see. We will be talking about yam. Goes without saying. From pilot to progress. Expanding seed yam production. No, that's not it. That's Mr. Prasad. When they get there, we will know what they're talking about. But we're getting ready for the yam panel discussion. In the meantime, I don't know. I just kind of like Rasta. I don't know why. Rasta, you plant yam?
Sometime.
What kind of yam you plant?
Plant renter yam, plant Sylvan's yam. Sometimes I plant nigger yam.
Nigger yam. But, don't correct me if I'm wrong. I never know say people plant renter. I think renter just grow. Tell me how you plant renter.
Same like how them tell you, if you beat up the sweet yam, you can beat up the renter yam and plant them and them come. So.
I know that yellow yam take 9 months. How long renter take?
Renter take the same 9 months.
9 months?
Yeah.
All right. I'm looking. I want somebody to tell me how pum pum yam is made. I'm going to ask this gentleman.
I really don't have the idea of it, you know. All I know them call it round leaf.
Round leaf. I'm going to ask this gentleman. May I ask him? The making of pum pum yam. Tell me how pum pum yam is made.
I never have a clue, you know.
You don't have a clue? No, sir. I'm disappointed. So, Rasta, that's why I feel love Rasta. Tell me how pum pum yam is made.
No, it's not special, you know. The same yellow yam go around.
Grow around. All right, so let me tell you what my grandfather tell me, say. All right, this gentleman, let me go to this gentleman before I tell you what Papa told me. The making of pum pum yam.
Good afternoon. Well, pum pum yam is go by accident. It's left to the moon that you plant it on. Most times if you plant it on a day that is not planting day, it will go around. But it's by accident. There's nothing you can do to prevent it if it wants to run. But the good thing about pum pum yam is that next year when you're ready to plant, you can get about 4 heads of the same yam and eventually it grows straight that year. So it's by accident.
All right, so you know have nothing with the yam staying there and ratooning. Who know about ratoon yam? What happened when the yam ratoon? You left the yam. That's a Thai yam. So yellow yam no ratoon. When you have the afu, very rare. You left the old ground. You broke off down in the ground. And it turned there and ratoon. All right, so I thought that pum pum yam was the result of a ratoon afu yam. But they're saying is any yam will round up. Once the yam round up. But why the pum pum yam always so dry? Not because it's well ripe. All right, still debating the making of the pum pum yam.
Why pum pum yam come that way? By accident. As what the gentleman said. You see, if the soil don't prepare good and the dirt underneath tough, then the yam can't go down. So it just come round up and tough. So if the hard rain come now and the dirt, then the dirt now will get hard and the yam can't go down.
All right, so we are not going to be calling it pum pum yam anymore because there's nothing special about it. It's just round up yam. Why we can't just call it round up yam? Let me come to this gentleman here.
The way you get pum pum yam, as I know it, you reap your yam early and mold. When you mold your yam, it stays there and it regroup. Sometimes you get a tall yam from it, but most of the time you get the round, the head swell huge, and you can take off a part for pum pum yam.
I think this man is related to my grandfather, because that's what my grandfather told me. Pum pum yam is no accident, because you see the same yam where you say just stay there and round up. If you cut that yam and cook it, sometimes it's bitter. But you see the pum pum yam dry and nice. If you cook it in a soup and you make it cold, it choke you. That's because it ratoon, it stay there and get old. All right, I'm just keeping it going until my panelists have arrived. They are ready. So at this time, enough talking about the pum pum yam and the Sylvinston yam and the dark night yam and all of those yams. At this time, I would like to welcome on stage Miss Marlene Porter from Jam Pro. She's one of our panelists. We also have Mr. Alvin Murray. Make your way up on stage where we have the empty chairs, please. Mr. Sajay Jones from Newport Fersan. Dane Parker from Caribbean Chemicals, Jamaica. And Elvis Williams from Fort, what is this now? From AgriVentures? Okay, good. So Mr. Elvis Williams, Mr. Dane Parker. Oh, from RADA, Miss Francine Webb Lawrence. Where is Miss Francine Webb Lawrence? Mr. Sajay Jones, Mr. Alvin Murray, and Miss Marlene Porter. Please make your way to the stage, please. Little music, we don't have nothing from Yaska. When name Yaksta. We could play little music and welcome them to the stage.
Audio testing 1, 2.
Yes, sir.
I was told I'm coming up here. This one.
And farmers are reaching this heat and chill.
Pull a little closer. I have this.
Okay, so we are into the most important segment of the symposium. It is the panel discussion, and we have with us persons from a wide cross-section. We have our input suppliers, we have persons from RADA, we have agronomists, persons with the technical know-how on yam. So what we will be talking about is the best practices on yam, best management practices when it comes on to yam production. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask each participant to introduce themselves. You have 2 minutes, and I may cut it down to 1 because we're hungry. To introduce themselves, starting with Mr. Jones from Newport Fersan. So my cheerleading team, my yam farmers, I'm asking you please, we're all hungry. Let's just think about little roast yam and saltfish for now and just keep the worms in our stomach at bay. Can we do that? But we just want to listen to what they have to say so that we can go back to our respective farms and implement what we are learning, what we're hearing now, today. Because guess what? We're not farm fool, we're farm yam, don't it? We know yammed. All right. So, Mr. Jones.
Testing. All right, I'm Sajid Jones from Newport First and agronomist with responsibility for Manchester and St. Elizabeth.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Elvis Williams, senior agronomist from Fort AgriVentures Limited. Well, I'm an input supplier, Fort AgriVentures Limited. It's an agricultural input supplier. So we supply seeds, chemicals, just like any of the other suppliers.
Good morning, everyone, or is it afternoon? My name is Marlene Porter. I'm the manager for agribusiness at JAMPRO. At JAMPRO, we promote the opportunities for investments in Jamaica and also help our own companies here to find markets overseas as well as linkages here in Jamaica. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dane Parker. I am the Senior Market Development Agronomist with Caribbean Chemicals. Our booth is second from the back of the auditorium, so when you get a chance, please visit. We are input suppliers with a difference. We consider ourselves to be market leaders and trendsetters in that we provide from seeds, the germination medium, seed trays. We also do biostimulants for those who are doing multiple sets for your yams. We have a formulation that you can utilize to improve early germination and sprouting. We move into fungicides, herbicides, insecticides, rodenticides as well as our safety gear. So once you're in agriculture and you're not with Caribbean Chemicals, then you might have a problem. Additionally, and I'll explain to you as we go along. Additionally, we also have the latest in terms of technological innovation in our biostimulants line as well as fertilizers. You want to hear about the Elixir line. It's not just improved, it's a technology that doesn't exist anywhere else in the English-speaking Caribbean. It cannot be duplicated because of the manner in which it was developed. Thank you.
Mr. Parker, before you move on, I know it's not question and answer, but I can hear one of my farmers asking, what do you mean by biostimulant?
All right, so simply put, once plants are growing, and any organism will come under stress. And for those of us who live also with people, you know stress. No? Okay, well, for those who have children, you must know stress. And for those who wait for the fortnight and the money short, you know stress. So the plants, you and I can move into more accommodating circumstances. And yes, come back please. I'm right here still. Thank you. So you and I can move into more accommodating circumstances. So we have a product that is called Green Stim that is geared towards assisting the plant. So let's say you're having excessive rain, or in this case, since we're talking about yam, an anthracnose situation, that product can help the plant to overcome that stress condition.
So basically, farmers, I'm helping you. Basically, biostimulant is any product that help the plants out of a stressful situation, correct?
And also improve growth and development.
So if you have a plant that is undergoing stress, whether from rain or heat, you go and you ask for biostimulant. Or if your agronomist talking to you and them say biostimulant, you say, okay, that means my plant stress. Thank you, Mr. Parker.
You're welcome.
Move on, Rada.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Francine Webb. I'm from the Technology Training and Technical Information Division of the Rural Agricultural Development Authority. We provide technical support across a number of different facets: agronomy, livestock support, marketing support, social services, and marketing, among others.
It's still morning? Good afternoon. I'm Alvin Murray. I'm the climate smart agriculture specialist for the SAC project across the 5 Caribbean countries. My major role in agriculture since 1976 is about technology transfer, bridging the gap between technocrats, politicians, and producers. I've worked extensively in coffee, banana, potatoes, and my last contribution will be for yams, in particular sweet yams.
Thank you. All right, so let's move into the questions now. Remember, we're talking about best management practices, and this question is for Newport First Son. What are some of the most critical best practices that farmers should adopt to ensure the success of yam farming? And there's another part when you're through. So let me go again. What are some of the most critical best practices that farmers should adopt to ensure the success of yam farming? Listen up, farmers.
All right, so when it comes down to best practices, you would have seen in the presentations earlier on land preparation. You have to have your land adequately tilled and prepared for the yams to be able to go down and get those tuber development that you want. In addition to that, a pesticide dip is important at the beginning of your production. So whenever you make those Minisets, you need to dip them in a pesticide dip in order to treat them for any insect pest or any fungal pest that is there. In addition to that, you can use a biostimulant such as the plant start to boost the plant, to ensure that it gets an early root development and shoot development to move into the production phases earlier on. So for example, for the dip, you can use Spectra, which is an insecticide, labdacylotrine and profenofos at 5 ml per gallon, and we can make that information public to anybody at the booth. You can write it down for you. And then you can use the Clearway, carbendazim and mancozeb together at 1 teaspoon per gallon as well, and then you use the plant start at 50 ml per gallon. You create that dip, you dip it in there, then you let it dry off. And that's how you get it prepared.
Okay, and how can inputs like fertilizers and other tools play a role in this?
All right, so when it comes on to fertilizers, for the project we had 2 soil tests done for the content and the shuttle greenhouse. And these revealed varying things. So let's just look at the content greenhouse for consideration of time. One of the main things that came up in the soil test that had to be addressed was the soil pH. What is soil pH? The pH scale ranges from 0 to 14, 7 being neutral, right? Anything that is below 7 going into the 5s going down is acidic, right? Then when you go 7.5 going up, that's alkaline. What this will do, it will inhibit nutrient uptake. What do I mean by that? If you have a pH that is acidic, then your macronutrients, like your nitrogen, your phosphorus, your potassium, let's look at it now we understand. The numbers on the bag on the fertilizer, NPK, 15, 5, 35, urea, all of those have numbers on them and they represent something specific. So one of the most popular blends being the 1428 has 14, 28, 14, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, right? So those 3 nutrients won't be able to go into the plant easily when the pH is low, right? Now when the pH is high, the reverse will obtain. Micronutrients won't be able to go into the plant as easily, right? Now you know about the macros, but you may not know about all the micronutrients like your zinc, your boron, your iron. All of these are important, right? So what will happen is that we have to address the pH of the soil that was in content. It was 7.1, being too high. So we use sulfurtan, which is 90% sulfur, to lower, ameliorate the pH in the root zone of the plant, thus allowing for the high levels of micronutrients that were there to move into the plant readily, and that's one of the reasons why they got the production that they wanted there.
You understand what he said? Okay, good. There's a question?
Yes, it's one of our flagship items. It's something that we recommend. It's first world technology, and that's what the symposium is geared toward, moving into first world technology. Now, if you're not able or you're not ready to test the soil as yet, which in, mark my words, is the best thing that you can do for yourself to have a soil test done. But let's say you don't have a soil test and you still want to go into production. There is another line of blends called the booster line that is geared towards yam production among other crops, right? So the booster line of fertilizers would carry micronutrients in them. What this is, it's born from soil testing. So we have an understanding of what the soils are across the island based on the tests that we have done in the past. And we know what each crop needs. So going back to the blend that we're talking about before, 14, 28, 14, that blend would have the 3 macros and a secondary macronutrients being sulfur. So that's nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and some sulfurs in it, right? That's only 4 things. Now the start booster, which will be used in place, so that has 8 things in it. So it's nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, magnesium, zinc, boron, and iron. And you might be thinking to yourself, why I need all of that? Well, for example, give it us one example. Magnesium is a central part of the chlorophyll molecule, right? You know you need nitrogen, all of those to encourage the growth. You need sulfur as well to help with the metabolization of nitrogen, right? So having those in the blend will actually help with the big number, 15, the first number, being better used by the plant. So that's how that blend comes into play, by combining things together. If you want to think of it in another way, you can think of it simply by a car. You can have the best car in the world, have the best tire, best engine, best everything, and if you don't have lug nuts on the car, it's not going anywhere. So everything else, the macro, the lug nut is the micro. In order for the car to move, it still needs the lug nut in order to hold the tire on the car. We agree? So that's why we say that you should test the soil, and if you're not testing the soil, then you use the booster line. You use 2 bags of start per acre, then they use the vegetative at 2 months, and then the yield booster at 5 months, fertilizing it 3 times for the life of the crop. Now I can be more happy to write it out for everybody in the room. You can visit me at the back, I can write it out, you can take your number. We also do field visits free of cost. So we'll come anywhere in Jamaica that you are, and we'll assess the field. We can also offer you on-site soil pH test to address your soil pH individually outside of a soil test. The soil test itself will cost $50 US. So we partner with a company overseas. The $50 US is for the actual analysis. So everything else comes free from the company. So we'll collect it and we'll ship it for you for free, but you have to pay for the analysis. Then we'll interpret it and give you the program and guide you. Everything else is free. Does the analysis $50 US, which is about $8,000 most of the time with the exchange rate. Lasts for 5 years, 3 to 5 years.
All right. Thank you very much. Sorry.
Could Ferson say a little more on correcting the pH where precision method was used, so the small amount of the product was used to cover the entire place?
All right, so for the greenhouse in content, 3,000 square foot, it took 15.63 pounds of the soil Ferson to cover it, the planting area. For most times, depending on the pH, for an acre, it will take 220 pounds to ameliorate an acre. Now, if you do research on soil amelioration, you will know that it's an expensive venture. So what we actually do is develop a technology that you can ameliorate just the root zones, making it more cost effective for you to get the yields that you need. In addition to that, what we noticed was a popular blend that some persons use in yam and may not get a good result, and some person get a good result is a 017. So we actually used that in the greenhouse, and there was adequate phosphorus there, and with the amelioration we were able to unlock the phosphorus, not having to buy phosphorus, for example, from the start booster or 14. So we use that to unlock that what is already there, and then we present the other blends in addition to the Maniplex line with supplied foliar, magnesium, and others to that plot, so we could get the yield from it at a lower cost while using what you already had. So you don't have to buy what you have already, you just get something to unlock what you already have and benefit from that.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Jones. I notice your hand, lady. We are behind time, so what I'm going to ask, after I ask each person a question and they answer, I will be taking just one question from the audience as it relates to that question that I asked. Now I'm going to ask you to write down any additional questions you have So when we move into the networking segment, you can ask the questions of the different persons. Because I'm sitting here and I thought about 5 different questions that I could ask Mr. Firsthand based on what he just answered, but time will not allow us. So I'm asking you, please write down your questions so that you don't forget. When it is the networking time, we can go and talk to the different persons here and ask them more questions. Before I move on, there are 2 special mentions that I would like to say at this time. Mr. Graham Dunkley, he's the managing director at CCJ. Where are you, sir? Welcome. And I hope that we will, I'm sorry we don't have any yam to give you to carry back, but next time. Planting material. Mr. Otis Sherman, where are you? Mr. Otis Sherman, he is the manager of the JAS St. Elizabeth. Where's my cheerleading team? Give these 2 men a round of applause. Thank you. Oh, he's just coming in. So next time, we'll make sure you go with the yam, but we can't give her the yam off a plant back. So next time, we owe you. All right. Back to you, lady in the white. What was your question, quickly?
Is safe for consumption of our yams when it is being used.
Okay.
Safe for consumption. All right. I hope I can answer it as to how you need it. So growing up, most of us will tell you that farming has changed over the last 10, 15 years. Completely changed, right? The same plot of land that you're planting on now used to yield you, for example, argument's sake, 10 pounds. And now you're yielding from that same plot of land 5 or 7 pounds, right? So to answer your question is this. Think of the soil as a bank, right? So the soil has a certain amount of nutrients in it, right? So if you continue to take from it and you're not replenishing it, then you will eventually deplete that nutrient source. And that's why you get a lower yield. Now the fertilizers are there to replenish that source and provide for the nutrition that the crop needs for that specific growing cycle, right? So, all right. Some persons are visual learners. This water bottle here represents the crop, the nutrients rather. So the plastic is the nutrients that the crop needs in order to grow, right? The water that is inside will represent the total yield. So if I poke a hole in the side of this bottle, taking out a specific part of it, that would be a nutrient, right? So if you remove that nutrient, the water is going to leak out until it reaches that hole. So the removal of that nutrient will limit the yield of the crop. So if you don't have the nutrient that is there, then the crop won't yield, right? If the crop doesn't yield, then you're going to have disease problems. So the fertilizer can actually improve the health of your crop, thereby improving the taste and the quality of the crop, right? Think about calcium. The same way how calcium gives you strong bone and teeth, the same way the calcium helps to fortify the cells of the crop to fight against pests and disease so you can get a better quality crop, better weight in your crop. So it's better for consumption, better for sale, better for shelf life, right?
So I think we have a good understanding, yes. I think we have a good understanding of what Miss is asking. If it is that you have a follow-up question, as I said before, I'm just going to ask you to go to the person at the end. Sir, just a second. I'm just going to implore you and to remind you that right now we're taking questions on best management practices. Now, at the end of the question and answer segment here, we're going to invite farmers to come to the center where you will have your question. So I'm not just going to take a question from you just now. I'm going to move on to Mr. Elvis. I'm going to ask you this question. From your experience, what are the common mistakes or misconceptions farmers make when they're managing their yam crops? And how can these be avoided with the right inputs?
Thank you. Coming from St. Ann as a boy growing up, St. Ann is also one of the yam parishes. What I've learned and realized over the years is that once farmers put their yam in the mold or hill, they don't really pay much attention to it for the next couple of months until they're ready to harvest. Some farmers will, to some extent, apply a 1 or 2 application of minute fertilizer. Now, what that tells us is that, as the gentleman explained earlier, you will limit the amount of production that you will have. All right? So the misconception most people have is that they don't have to do much to the yam to get it producing. But can just imagine paying the attention similar to how you do a cash crop. Yams also suffer from pests and diseases. But if you ask most farmers, they don't apply any treatment or pest management program to their yam field, right? So what you want to do is to, just like any other crop, and especially the attention that people pay to cash crop, you have to develop a nutrition program for your yam just the same. You have to develop a pest and disease management program for your yams. And as was explained earlier, if it is that you're not providing the nutrition at the right amount, at the right time, you will not be getting the productivity that you're supposed to get.
Thank you for that. I'm just going to move right over to Radha and CCJ. So this question is actually for both of you, but I'm going to ask ladies first. Can you share some innovative crop care techniques that you've seen that basically helped farmers to improve their yields and reduce cost in yam production? Starting with you.
All right, thank you for that. If we just look at it, as the lady said before, in times past, when you were planting yams, you just plant and you wouldn't necessarily need to add or spray, etc. It's a different system altogether now. When you're talking about getting the most out of your yams, you're talking about using clean planting material. So you're talking about starting off with a blessed planting material you have that is, for the most part, free from pests and disease. You're growing, you're talking about reducing the level of stress on your plant. So making sure, as he said, that it's not stressed from water, making sure it's not stressed from nutrients, that is getting them also at the right time is critical for you to have a thriving plant. You also want to look at what your predominant pest and disease pressures are. And so when we're talking now about your soft yams, you're talking about having challenges with yam rust disease, you're talking about anthracnose, and you want to make sure that you're reducing the level of stress from that as well. And so being able to apply the necessary products, and I think we're in a good position that our input suppliers, we didn't have to import any kind of new products for this latest disease. What we are saying now, we have a wide range of products that are locally available that applied at the right time can help in protecting your plants. When we talk about using your pesticides, your fungicides for the growth of your plants to be able to keep off the disease pressure, you're looking at applying them at the right time. Particularly when you talk about your contact products. Coppers, the copper fungicides such as your Sulcox or your Champion, your Coside are good products to use that are good protectants. The best time to apply that is before you actually see disease symptoms on your plant. And so coming in when it is appropriate is a key in managing and keeping your diseases at bay. Doing that and also ensuring that you harvest on time and do everything in terms of your plant spacing and things. These things, not necessarily novel, but they have and they make a great impact on your production as well. And so, you know.
Much, Ms. Francine. So we got some very good advice there. So let me just go right over to Dane from CCJ. Same question. What can you share? What innovative crop care techniques can you share to better help our farmers to improve yields and reduce input costs for yam?
Thank you for that. One of the things that we've done at Caribbean Chemicals is continuous research, even when not prompted by an event. We have our product development team that is geared towards that. And so what we've done prior to even Minisett technology being brought about and being shared is to develop a tuber dip or a program that stimulates early germination, right? So that's one. Two, that protocol literally has in it a fungicide, which is carbendazim. It has a cytokine, which is going to be breaking that dormancy, and also a fertilizer and an insecticide, either diazinon or kickstart. So that's one. Coming up, we've seen where the impact of the different pathogens are, and so with that dip in question came other researches that we've done to look at how do we manage the advent of the disease pressure, whether we see it or not. And so that's what Bellis is about. We came up with the phrase and the expression Bellis excellence, because what that really does is that it's a fungicide that's going to give the plant the capacity to withstand that environmental stress, which is the disease, and also produce in the long term. So one, you're not losing foliage, you're not losing any sort of issues showing up, and also reduces the need to have multiple applications throughout the crop. In addition to that, our fertilizers that have been brought to market, and also I must say what we've done coming out of that is to develop a crop care regimen. So for the yam farmers, we have a guide that gives you a sequential approach, what to do, how to do it, and the reasons behind that. And so the farmers themselves can be guided by that. In addition to that, the Elixir line of fertilizer, as mentioned earlier, gives the farmer the added capacity with not just NPK, but trace elements and a technology that sees every grain or every mineral in all the grains of fertilizer. So there's no hit and miss when you put down this nutrient program. It also buffers and alters the pH on its own, so there's no need to purchase a supplemental product. It does that either way. So whether the pH is high or low, that product itself will do it regardless of the product you purchase.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. So basically what I'm hearing you to say is that you have a dip. And as a yam farmer, I'm just going to break it down for my farmers here. So usually we have the yam heads, and we put them down until them sprout. I'm not speaking about sweet yam because I don't plant sweet yam. I'm talking about yellow yam, right? So if you have the yam heads, you usually put them down until they sprout. Since we're talking about best management, what happens is that sometimes the farm hands, they will plant one head that sprouts with another head that has not sprouted. So what is going to happen? You will have one yam in the hill that is ready before the other one.
Exactly.
So when you go check now, you may check the one that is not ready, so the other one stay in the hill and burn. So what I'm hearing from you is that you have a dip that we can use as farmers to dip all of the yams so sprouting takes place at
all of that occurs in one event.
Thank you.
So what you end up with is a uniform grow out, uniform canopy. So all your cultural practices can take place in one event. So if you're doing weed management, you're good to go. And two, let me just say in terms of a corrective point here, because we might not necessarily have, because the tubers are here, but there might be spores on them, as in fungal spores. So what we're not promoting is to immerse the heads into the solution. Put it if all of us were to wash our feet in the same container, then by the time it gets to the last person, how about that solution, that liquid? So what we do, we spread them out evenly on a surface and we apply the product uniformly over the surface. So rather than immersing it, we put it on the surface on a tarpaulin and then spray over it. And let me just finally, the strategy does not stop at yam. It works for Irish, it works for sweet potato, it works for banana, and it works for dasheen. You name the crop, the same set of products can be applied as a dip or drench rather, and they get a uniform plant start.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Parker. Very good. I see my cheerleading team love you. Mr. Alvin, What role do environmental factors such as soil health and climate play in best agricultural or climate response practices? It's a long question. You understand it?
Yeah, but I would prefer to defer it to Francine and I talk about the yams itself.
Okay. All right, let's hold that question for a little bit, right? There's not a question on best management practices for you, Miss Jampro. May I call you Miss Jampro? You're not out of the woods. I just want to ask you a question. From where I sit, and you can correct me, you connect overseas investors and sometimes buyers with the local market, correct? Now, I want you to tell our farmers why best practices from the get-go is important to the persons that we're sending. So don't just think local and sell in local markets. I want you to paint a picture from when we're going to plant, why it is important to adopt certain best practices, whether your management or how you spray, or how you apply the fertilizer, touch a little bit on residual, like if any residue is left over and how that can impact the market when we want to export it. So listen up, farmers.
Thank you. Thanks for that question. And I think just by the question itself, you have actually covered some of the most important things that our farmers need to know. There is a huge market out there for yam. We have buyers who wait in line to get yam from Jamaica, but there are considerations that we have not been able to meet in all instances. For example, consistency is an important factor. So it is with volume. So for example, if you have your yams today and they're big, the next set is small, the next set has cuts and bruises on them, that in itself is a deterrent for us to get buyers to want to take our product because they have to meet standards and requirements in their markets as well. So it's very important that we observe the quality standards that are required by our buyers, and we have to start it from day one. So some of the things you have been talking about, like chemicals that you use, these are things that form part of the requirements of the different markets. So the chemicals that you're using, you have to ensure that they align with what the markets would be asking for. So also when we talk about volumes, I mentioned that there is a strong demand out there for yam. How can we get our production up? At Jampro, we want to talk with you if you're looking at expansion because we have the markets, we need the supplies. So talk to us about any expansion plans that you have. We may not be able to give you the money here, but we have our partners, we have certain information in-house, and of course we work closely with Agro-Investment Corporation in the development of the profiles on a number of crops, and yams would be one of them that you could really get some useful information on. Long and short of the response is we don't want to be a country just supplying samples out there. So I encourage you to really make sure that you're consistent with your volumes. And if you observe some of the things I've heard here today in terms of the new practices, bringing technology to bear on how you produce, I believe that we will get really way ahead. And just finally, we also look to link if you have production and volumes, we can also link you with local buyers, particularly within the hospitality space.
Did you hear that, farmers? Did you hear that, or you're sleeping? If you have volume, if you have the crop, she can link you with buyers, all right? I recognize that we have one question there. Just to round out the questions with our panelists, let me just ask Mr. Murray one question and then I go to you. Mr. Murray, we sat here this morning and we're hearing that things and times have changed, especially as it relates to climate. We usually plant yam and we depend on the rain to give the plant the water that it needs. But we recognize now that things have changed, and so we have to change with things. We have to change with climate and adapt to the changes that we're experiencing in climate change. Mr. Murray, I want to invest in sweet yam, but I am not so sold on it because of the different changing pattern with the climate. What can you tell me as somebody who wants to move into sweet yam production? What are some of the things that I need to consider from a climatic standpoint, and even as it relates to the overall care? How do I start a business in sweet yam production?
Okay, and that's where I wanted to get from this morning. The reality is, you ask every farmer inside here, do you love sweet yam? Do you like to grow sweet yam? And they'll tell you yes. Do you get a good price for your sweet yam? Yes. Do you have any sweet yam now? No. Why? And climate has been changing, and most of our farmers here will tell you that over the last 20 years, definitely between 2008 and now, most of the crops, especially St. Vincent yam, sweet yam, if you negro yam, you plant 100 hills this year, you cannot find yams to plant next year. He's afraid of the knife. So what is happening? Because of the longer drought periods that we have been having, the yams stay in the hill and burn up. And track nose, the same vine that you have, you see the little black greasy spots on the leaf. First time we think that yam get ready, when it start drop bush. But that is also the disease. As the plants start getting weaker, the germs start coming in and kill the foliage. You start reap, it kill the vine. Some of us go one step further. When we dig over the yam hill, we cut off the vine and put it on the hill. So the anthracnose that is affecting the yam is right there. And you bury it back in the same hill. And once you don't take out that yam one time, you see the whole head start rotting from top, go straight down. That is anthracnose. And that is why we don't see sweet yam and St. Vincent yam, even though none of the yams that we plant get as good a price as sweet yam. As good as yellow yam be, if you put a pound of sweet yam and a pound of yellow yam in the market, the sweet yam done first. All right? So what are we going to do to bring back sweet yam? And I have to be practical with it. So the first question I'm going to ask you, and you look at this. Would you plant this? Would you plant this as a yam head? Why? It's too big. You're playing on my hand too much. All right. So you're saying this too big and cut off piece. This was produced from one little piece of yam. So what I'm talking about is just this, 2 inch. 2 inches. And we split it again. All right? This is 2 more yam plants. And I could, you don't take off any more? Yes.
Mr. Murray, hold up one of those.
All right, I'll come into that. So we cut another 2 inch. All right? And we split it again. Your knife must be sharp, and the thinner the blade, the better. All right? So, I come to plant here, me know. Me up plant this, whether you tell me or not. Me now cut no more, because I want a big yam. But listen, so while planting this, if I set those in the kaya now, me get 4 more yam plant the same time I reap this. So we really should have a problem with yam head? So why we are suffer so much?
Question, Sir Murray.
Yeah.
Sir Murray, you mentioned that you want a big yam. would, and this is for the audience, would the plantlets you get from those produce the same size yam as that?
So the message we're sending here, it is from this that we get this. And we are saying, plant this as your yam head each year. One of the messages coming up. This one was a slightly little bigger piece. All right? The other part of the message I want you to understand. Some of these yams were reaped from December. Most of them by the second week of January. Without cold storage. It was put in a crate. If I sold this December and get $250 a pound, how much a pound me don't get for it now? Easily $300. And all that we did was to harvest it and make sure the machete not juke it. Make sure the fat not juke it. And once you don't cut the yam or there's no bruise for germs to enter, even yellow yam could be put down until it starts sprouting. So the first thing we want this technology to do for us is to stop cutting your yam when you're digging it. 2, from this same piece of yam, I could produce 10 more yams next year. So I will keep back 10% of my yams to produce next year crop and allow Jampro to export it without having to apply any pesticide to protect this piece of yam. So you are dealing with the market and you are dealing with plant material for next year. And when you get dead serious about it, and we set up a little place, make a bed 30 feet long, 4 feet wide, 2-inch kaya sawdust, put these right beside each other, apply the product my brethren say must apply to protect the cut surface, cover it with 1-inch kaya sawdust, water it, and you better have place to plant them 3 week time. The problem can be solved. And the people who want to go in a business just to produce seed yam, because we want to stop cut yam, even if we are selling it at the market. Thank you.
Can I get an amen? Sound like church hot, not true. Church is hot. So I'm going to take one question for this segment. This gentleman is here. He's from Girls' Choice. Who is your question for?
A comment. I wanted to share something before you started, nonetheless, if I may. All right, so farmers, I want you to hear the technology that Stamori mentioned, that once you start beating this yam, the hills or the banks would have had to be ready, because within 21 days, they're ready. Applying cytokine, green stem, new kickstart, they're ready to go. Because the biostimulant technology is going to break that dormancy. The fungicide is going to coat and protect this area. So the purpose of the fungicide is to protect here so there's no further rotting. And then stimulate whatever nodes that are on this to get them growing. So within a 3-week period, all of these 4 pieces of planting material are ready to go.
Awesome. Awesome sauce. Hold that 1 second. Gentlemen, let me go to you.
Okay.
Just a sec.
All right, so my question is, the objective of this meeting mainly is to educate farmers as relates to a program, sensitizing farmers as relates to new programs for yams. Is that correct? Okay.
Yes.
So my question also is to Jampro. The focus would be to increase production for the market for the Caribbean or globally?
It is globally. In the UK, we have, our yam sell for much more than anybody else's yam. That persons even in that market, sellers in the market sometimes use our yam and say, use another country's yam and say, yes, it's Jamaican yam, because we're not there with ours. So there is demand in the UK, there is demand in the US, there is demand in Canada. So we do know that our players are now prioritizing these markets, and there's still excess demand there.
Well, I also like to state as well, because I have lived in the US, in New York, the prices for yam are fairly expensive. It's about like, for £1, maybe $10, $12 US, right? So it's really profitable. Just to highlight to all the farmers here, right? So it's something that, you guys should not, stick to the old way, but also embrace what the panel has to say as it relates to the new technology that they will bring across to you. And also what Growth Strides can also bring, right? So I would just like to say thank you for the answer, right? I just wanted everyone to, kind of understand the importance of this meeting today. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
If I may just add on to the comment, you asked about markets and you asked about yam. I would want to encourage our farmers to understand that there is a full value chain for yam. And the further up you go the value chain, the more money you end up keeping for yourself. So if individually you're not able to do it, you can look at ways in which you can come together and go up that value chain, because I can tell you, moving from the fresh to just one level up gives you a much bigger margin to work with. So I encourage you to do that, because the markets are out there. Yam is considered one of those superfoods. People are gravitating to it for health reasons, etc. So do consider it and the value chain production.
All right, very good. So there be no other questions for this segment. Let me move on to pest and disease management. Yam crops are often affected by various pests and disease. And I'm asking you, please, 1 minute or less for the answer. We're kind of getting restless. 1 minute or less. And if I stop you, don't stone me. Afterwards, we're still friends. So yam crops are often affected by various pests and diseases. What are the most common ones? And how can farmers mitigate their impact using certain products?
Hello? All right. Now I can spend the rest of the afternoon telling you about the pests and diseases on yams. There are myriad. I would start with the latest one, the yam rust disease. I tell farmers that the opportunity that we have here is that the treatment for yam rust disease, which is a fungal disease, it will help also in cleaning up for a number of other challenges we have on yam. Now, largely affecting our softer yams, like our Negro yam or St. Vincent or Lucy, the renter yam, the yam rust disease can be quite debilitating. If it affects your leaves, you lose your factory, your food factory, and so treatment has to be done early in order to be able to get that production going. And so while I say that there are a number of other diseases, because we haven't even started talking about nematodes, etc. But for that, you also have to be mindful of your weather. The weather conditions also help in influencing the amount of disease you have, which is why they talk about the density, your planting density in the field, because the greater the levels of humidity is the more disease you're likely also to have. We're not used to treating or spraying yams. I said before, particularly when you talk about using your contact fungicides, which are on your cheaper side, we are more affordable. It means that you have to start looking at protecting the leaves. Before you see anything on your leaves, you treat in order to protect. Your contact products will form a film, a layer over the leaves in order to protect them. It will prevent the spores from landing and germinating and further getting into the plant cell. And so that is critically important before you even see anything happening on the leaves. The protection is going to be important, particularly when you see the time looking like this on the outside. It means that you have to come in and protect your leaves. The rainfall, the increased moisture is going to lead to increased levels of disease. And so for that, you shift over from your contacts to your systemic, something that the plant will also take on the inside that will go further than the surface of the leaf. And so there are a myriad of options that you have available, particularly for disease management on yams, that I'd encourage you to check out Radha booth at the back to get as well.
Awesome sauce. So as I said earlier, I am not familiar with the growing process of the sweet yam, but I'm familiar with yellow yam. Sometimes what I notice is that farmers will say the yam burn, but when you look closer, you see some little things like worm bite, Mr. Murray. Is it your experience where you have seen worm impacting yam, like biting yam, but it look like it's burned, the yam burn?
Yes, and especially with the negro yam, Lucy yam, to lesser extent the yellow yam. And these are mainly wire grubs, my dear? White grubs.
You have the white grubs.
And there are so many different species of them. Most of our farmers are accustomed to the bigger ones. Some people call them cockafat. You know them? Big fat white worm. And you have some very small ones. They also damage your sweet potatoes. And that is one of the reasons you don't want to have a lot of trees. So sometimes on the mango tree, on the pimento tree, and they eat off the leaves, they lay the eggs, they hatch, they burrow into the soil, and that is your trouble. And to treat anything in the soil, though I'm invading Francie's space, it's very expensive and very difficult. The importance of crop rotation and management cannot be overemphasized. And I'm sure Francie will say something more on how to avoid these problems with proper integrated pest management.
So when you have the worms coming in and creating entry points, because what you have is that the fungus will come in when you have the natural openings in the leaf through which you have the different processes happening. But if you have bruises, if you have cuts, like from what you get from the worm, it also opens up the channel for you to get disease issues as well. So in addition to you having challenges with the worms, it also brings on the secondary issue of fungal diseases, which can also become a bigger problem than your actual worm issue.
So I'm just going to throw this one out. I don't know if it's you or you, but I'm going to throw this one out. When you reap the yam, and maybe 2 or 3 days later, you cut the face of that yam, and you see a dark spot forming on the yam. What is that? Is that as a result of pest and disease? Is it about our post-harvesting method? What is that spot?
Well, once you open the surface of the yam, what you normally see is what we refer to as enzymatic browning, which really is just a chemical reaction that is taking place between the enzymes naturally found in yam and oxygen. So it's like oxidation, like rusting. So that's really what's happening in your presence. Ideally, once you reduce the pH or coat that surface, whether that be with an oil film or your citric acid, then it should remain clear and not turn brown and discolored. So, there are strategies out there. But again, what you want to ensure is that you understand the post-harvest side of the crop production activity that you're engaged in. Because it can result in you having to strip again, because your buyers want to see the quality of the yam itself. So each time you strip it down, you're using surface air and finished quality.
And at home, even when you're peeling the yam, you could actually peel that yam underwater, and then you put it in the pot, or you could put it in your freezer and keep it for quite a while to come.
All right, so all of these questions I'm seeing we would have already covered, right? One way or another, because Mr. Parker spoke extensively, Mr. Jones spoke extensively, and we still have the presentation from Ms. Francine Webb, who is going to talk about the yam roast. So I have this question. It's a final question for everybody here on the panel. I want you to talk about collaboration from your different entities. So Mr. Ferson, I know you and Caribbean Chemicals and Mr. Elvis, I know you don't have the final say as it relates to this question that I'm going to ask you, but it has to do with collaboration. It has to do with the farmers, because usually farming, only one person take on the risk is the farmer, nobody else, right? Talk about when you go to, when the higglers or even the exporters come to your field to buy. I need my amen from the farmers in the group now. When they come to your field to buy, they're asking for upwards of 20 pounds of yam extra. But when we go to buy fertilizer, Newport First and now give with 10 pound extra. They're not giving us a discount on the chemical. They're not doing that. But we have to pay $5,000 and more per day, and depends on where you are. You have to find first one for the farmers them, and still we have to give 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 30 pounds extra on your stuff. First son, I'm getting a little bit carried away. I'm not here as a farmer, I'm here to moderate the panel. Tell me now, how can farmers come to you and you, to say, this crop takes 9 months. Can you advance me some input and me pay you at the end, or me pay you in 4 months, or me pay you in... Talk about collaboration. Tell me what are some of the things that you're doing to help farmers to mitigate the risk and to... I know Mr. Dunkley is there,
no,
so
I
maybe...
can answer now because, well, you said first, so let him go first.
Go first, Mr. Ferson, and then you, Mr. Elvis, and then you. All right?
Sure. All right, so...
Listen, farmers, listen. Media is here, listen.
All right, so to answer that question, frankly, I'm glad the way you put it first, you know. You doubt that we that are sitting up here will have the answer that you want. But the answer that I can give you is to go back to the fertilizers I was talking about before. Now, if you go and you check the prices of those fertilizers that have more in it than the previous blends, you find out that they are cheaper. So that's one of the things that we have done to create blends that are cheaper. To answer that question further, that's a bit above me.
Of you, but is there anything, do you have like discounts that, you know, because I know you have different zones that you can pinch your farmers and you can say, okay, we have, I'm coming to you, Mr. Parker, you can pinch. What we're talking about, you know, is collaboration, because without you, we can't exist, and without us, you can't exist. So where can you meet us? Sometimes you have fertilizer with bursts. You want to sell us for half price? Can you?
Let me answer the question now.
Okay. You said that it's above your pay grade, but take that back to your seniors. Mr. Elvis, the question for you.
All right, thank you. From Fort Agri Ventures Limited, what we have done is to form partnership with farmers groups, where we encourage the group to purchase their products in bulk. And with that, farmers, they will be able to benefit from the same pricing that the farm stores that we distribute to would get to. We don't want to sell a one-one package of anything to our individual farmer, but coming as a group and buying in bulk, you will be able to get that discount. One of the other things is that we also do partnerships with farmers, where we go in and we look at what they are doing, and based on their size of operation and their capacity to purchase, we also sell directly to them, where they'll be given not necessarily a 4 months,
farmers,
but they will be given a break, where they will get the products and given some time for them to put the funds together for repayment. So we do have those type of relationship with farmers across the country that we service.
So essentially, put yourself in groups. So if you know one farmer use 10 bag of fertilizer, you have a group with 5 farmers or 10, when you go buy 50 bag of fertilizer, you get discount. That's what he's saying. Correct? So everybody hear that. Mr. Dane, you're itching to go. Let me hear what CCJ has to say.
All right, so for those who... You might want to hear this, farmers, because it's going to benefit
farmers.
you. All right, so
our mantra is that the farmer must win. The farmer must win. And when the farmer wins, everybody wins. What does that mean? It simply means that if you're able to produce your crop and you get a higher rate of return in terms of yield, you're using less products, then in turn you can always spend. So what we've done is to partner with farm stores, farmer groups, and other entities that are farmer-centric. The goal is to have you, the farmer, get that input that you require at excellent prices. So we guide the different persons and personnel. We, from time to time, have different sale events. You can tap into that. Additionally, we have a yard sale coming up. You can tap into that. And going forward, through the different farmer groups and training sessions that we collaborate with, then and there, whatever reduction in prices and offers that are available will be brought to bear. So similar to what Elvis said, but we also go above and beyond that.
Thank you very much. Hold them to account. Hold them to account.
We have persons here who can testify to that already.
Okay, we leave the
So
testimony for Sunday when we're in church.
Amen.
Jampro, final word. What's the final word for you, your entity, and collaboration as it relates to farmers? You sat here, you heard about the different challenges that we face. Sometimes, I could add to the gentleman who asked the last question. Yam is currently being purchased by exporters for $150 a pound. But I know when it goes to the US, it is selling for way more than that. How can Jampro help us? You spoke about the value chain, and the higher up, the more money. So how can you help us in a collaborative way? Can you speak to that? For farmers can now start looking at forming groups and moving up the value chain instead of waiting for the higglers to come into the field and waiting for the exporters to come and buy from them. What can we do from where you're sitting?
Great question. Just to say that Jampro has worked under the Ministry of Agriculture at the time, because we were a part of that ministry then, to develop a yam strategy. That strategy is now being looked at and implemented under the Ministry of Agriculture itself. So mining, fisheries and mining. That strategy speaks to all aspects of the yam value chain. It speaks to the needs of the sector and looks at some of the solutions to help the yam production in the area of productivity, efficiency, application of technology. All of those things are within it. On that committee, we had the consolidators, we had the purveyors, all of those people who come to you and buy, to go back and sell. And part of it, the discussion, I think you said it well, it's a win-win situation. How can we get the persons who are buying from you to give better consideration in terms of prices? Because at the end of the day, if you are not able to produce, then everything else will fail. So that's an important factor that's also considered in it. We work with our stakeholders to look at how we can also make agriculture more sustainable. And so part of it, in a lot of what we do, we seek funding and support. JCIF, for example, helped us to develop that, the YAM strategy. And so we continue to look for these kind of support to get this, not just yam, but different areas of agriculture going. Another thing that we do is that we advocate for our investors. So if you're having any major challenges and you need help to get other players, our friends, our stakeholders, our partners going, we also can help to add a voice to it. We have a really strong working relationship with RADA, with Agro Investment Corporation, with Jamaica Agricultural Society, whoever you need to engage with, we are there with them to ensure that we are supporting you and supporting agriculture in Jamaica.
Awesome sauce.
And just to encourage you, you mentioned that collaboration among yourselves as farmers, it can go a really far way. If you look even within the success within an agro park, it is where people are using the same space and how they can make the best of it to ensure that everybody is getting something good out of it. You too can come together and partner. And as our chemical companies have said to you just now, you can even get better input prices if you do it that way. And if you're able to pull your volumes together, work together to get that consistency, talk to us and we can get a buyer to you as well. And so you can directly export yourselves. Of course, there are certain things you have to put in place and you will have to demonstrate that you're following good practices, and then we will be able to get you the buyer.
Thank you very much, Ms. Marlene Porter, for that final comment. And I am now moving to Mrs. Francine Webb-Lawrence from RADA with your final comment for the farmers, and we're looking at collaboration.
With respect to collaboration, much of what we do at RADA is the transfer of technical information. And whereas all that information does not reside in RADA, we are not effective or efficient without collaborators. Today is an excellent example of that. We're partnering with the SAC project in bringing this wonderful technology back to the fore again. We have partnered with our input suppliers, with research and development in order to get the information to farmers. Partnerships with farmers are at the core of what we do. And so collaboration is something at the core, at the center of how RADA operates and how we are effective in doing our work.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Francine Webb-Lawrence. Now, finally, Mr. Alvin Murray from WOSC. I'm not even going to leave it to collaboration. Mr. Murray is a man who likes to freestyle. So, freestyle, Mr. Murray. The final thing you have to say to farmers.
Well, even those people that don't have land, if you look in the back of that red pickup outside, I've been using used greenhouse plastic to make a potting bag, a big one. I've been using bamboo, you can take a look, to make a container. And I'll be putting 4 of these little pieces of yam inside, even in a rocky area, to produce 4 more planting material that can be used to produce yams for next crop. And so any questions you have to ask, I'm here, and I will find the people that can solve the problems for you.
Thank you very much. So remember, I'm asking you to take your questions, mark their faces, go to them wherever you see them, tell them I sent you, ask them the questions. Just to let you know, we have 2 items to go, 2 dege items, and then we finish. I'm asking Mrs. Francine Webb, who will be talking about yam rust disease management, and Mr. Munish Prasad, Deputy Director, WOSC. I'm giving you until 2:30 to wrap, both of you. Is that okay? Is that okay? Good. Thank you very much. Audience, you have been great. Thank you very much to our panelists. We have Mr. Sajay Jones, Mr. Elvis Williams, Miss Porter, Miss Marlene Porter, Mr. Dane Parker, Miss Francine Webb-Lawrence, and Mr. Murray. Give me a clap, get them. Good. Thank you so much. So we're moving in right now to our presentation from Miss Webb. She will be talking about the yam rust disease management. Please listen carefully.
Everybody, still with me? We're talking about yam rust now. Can I get my presentation up? How many people have soft yam, Negro yam? Renta, Lucy, had any problem with your Ramros? Yes? All right, let's talk about how you can manage it. And I think we also have examples of successful management of yam rust disease with the sweet yam that we are talking about from morning. Thank you. Now the screen is a little small. And I'm going to move as quickly as I can. We're talking about yam rust disease and how we can manage it. So what exactly is yam rust disease? We say it's a fungal disease, yes? Right? And with this particular disease, you can see very distinctly the spores on the leaf. Right? Yes, and how does it start off? Those who have experience with it, very quickly, remember I have to, it's not till 2:30. It starts on the leaf. What you see, little spots. You see some spots on the leaf. What color are these spots? Some yellow spots that later turn brown. And then you can actually see these orange spores. It's like a little dust-like. You walk into the field and you come out and you look out and you look like an orange baby, yeah? Right, yam rust disease. So all these symptoms, you see them on the leaf? Now what I'm saying, remember when we talk about management, you don't want to wait until you see this to start doing something about it. Too late. You have to be protecting your leaves, and especially because this crop goes into several months for your Negro yam, up to what, 6 months? So you don't want to wait until you see this. Or if this occurs, you want this to happen much later down, so your production is already well on the way, yes? So with the disease, it becomes more favorable when you have conditions like this. When it's about to rain, you have a lot of moisture in the air. Yes? And so what we're saying is that you protect your leaves first. So in a dry time, it still means that you have to protect because you want to keep your leaves on for as long as possible. How the rust works, let's look at how it works. So the yellow spots, you have also on the spots, so as they develop, you have some raised area, like you have, I'm very sensitive to mosquitoes. So they bite me and they turn out into sores. So you have those raised areas on the leaf. You call them the pustules, and you get a lot of spores coming out of it. That is largely how you will see the disease present in the field, and largely a form, that is how it will largely spread as well within the field and to your neighbors. Now, if you have your leaves going down early in the crop, what will happen? So a number of farmers will testify that they got very little from the Negro yam. This is because your leaves went down early. Let's talk about how we can prevent that. Now, how does it spread? By the wind, because you actually see all those spores, they can easily be carried from what? By the wind. So your neighboring farmers are also going to be critical in helping to manage rust disease in your field. That is why we're here. We have to change the culture. You can't, especially for these soft yams, it means you're going to have to treat it. There's no two if or but about it. It has to be treated because this is going to spread to your neighbors. It has to be treated. We can't do yams the same way that we've done it in the past. Not with these soft yams. And remember, with yam rust disease, we have not seen it on yellow yam in Jamaica to date. But where it occurs in Dominica, they have seen it on yellow yam. We have not seen it on yellow yam so far here. We don't want it on yellow yam. Right? Yellow yam is pretty, sturdy, but we don't want it. So wind, water, and water when you have the rain splashes coming on your plant, that action of the raindrops splashing helps also in spreading the spores. Right, which is why I'm going to talk about protecting yourself before you get the rain, because just the action of the rain helps in spreading the disease.
And what leave in the ground, the leaf that end at the bottom, get them off, because when the rain falls, it splash on the leaf and it
especially if you had disease before. So if you had disease before in your previous crop, don't incorporate that in the hill, because that is planting it with the disease in there. Right? So especially where you had the yam rust before, those leaves that have fallen off, you cannot incorporate that into your new hills. You're actually burying it with the spores. Right? So that practice we have to change. Responsibly, especially if you had disease. If you had the disease there, it means that if you take that and put it in the hill again, you're actually putting the disease there to come up back with it. Burning the ground. I'm saying responsible burning, so I wouldn't say just wantonly put into. Right, because you don't want that fire going up, particularly on the hillside and so forth. Yes. So how else is it spread? Coming to you, and your question is important, but remember, I'm running out of time, right? Infected planting material. So remember I said clean planting material is important, as clean as possible, right? All right, you see my slide already, right? People moving from infected field to other fields is another way of transmitting the spores, yes. And also on your tools. So it means that you have to sanitize your tools as well. How do you sanitize the tools? Watch it in the bleach solution. So you put 1 part bleach, 9 parts water, and you dip that machete or your whatever tools you have in that to clean it. All right? So your tools and equipment and people moving from field to field. This is not just for this is for management in general. You want to make sure that you're looking out for these. All right, let's look at how now we can move into. We talked about the conditions. We said conditions like this. When you know that the rain is setting up, so it's humid and it's warm. And that is conditions suitable for germination of the spores. So the spores will land on the leaf, particularly if there is any bruise or any kind of wound on the leaf as well. And it can enter through the natural openings in the leaf as well. Right? Which is why I said that protecting the leaf is going to be particularly important, even if you're not having these favorable conditions, even in the dry time. Right? So let's look at 7 key facts in wrapping up. 7 key facts in wrapping up about yam rust disease. What is it caused by? Well, no, what's the cause of yam rust disease? It's a fungus, yes. What are the symptoms? What do we look for? The spots on the leaf, the yellow spots that later turn brown, you have orange spores within them as well. How is it spread? Wind, rain, water, through people moving. And you can imagine through, you have animals moving through as well. They can easily carry the spores across. What are the conditions that are ideal for disease development? Humid conditions, warm conditions. And what kind of impact does it have? What will happen to your production if we leave it unchecked? Low productivity, low yields, and that means loss of money, so we're not into that one. Exactly. So let's look a little more into the management. And for this one, remember we say coming in early is always the best option because that means that it is a more affordable option as well, and you're better able to manage it when the population is lower. You know, when you come in, when the situation already burning down, very hard to manage. All right? So let's look at a 5-step management system. One, we're talking about restricting movement. Why? How does that impact it? So the one-ton moving up and down, and you have to be a little more careful. And remember, this is general. This is a general good agricultural practice, right? Because remember, this is not the only disease that operates like this. So in general, you don't want to have that free movability, people just moving in and out of your field. A biosecurity measure, you want to make sure that you restrict some movement here. You want to use your fungicide. What fungicides can you use? Like I said before, a good thing with what happened with this disease, even though this is fairly recent, is that a number of the products that are ideal for management are already locally available. We talk about Amistar, excellent product. We talk about the coppers like your Champion, the Sulcox, ideal for protection of your leaves, particularly early, all locally available already. There are a number of other products. Forgive me. We have some handouts at the back as well that we can share that you can look at for the wide range of products that are available for management. So you must come in and use them early. In the dry time, use your contact products, protect your leaves. The contact products work on the surface only. They don't go inside the plant. It means when you're applying it, you must get good coverage. What does that mean? If your coverage is patchy, so when you spray, you have product here, you have product here, you don't have any here, you still leave an area there that the fungus can still land on and germinate. So you have to have good coverage. Good question. How often do you spray? When you spray your contacts, they're not going to last as long as your systemic products, right? And remember, we're talking about protection, right? So ideally with your contact products, they usually recommend them, depending on the product, for a weekly treatment, right? What I'm saying to you is that you use your contacts in the dry period when it looks like you're going to have rain. And how do you know when the rain is going to come in your area? How do you know when when you're expecting rain? The clouds, yes, but we have more technology than that. Huh? Yes. Yes. You know that the Met Service sends out and gives us, there's an app that you can utilize. No, there's an actual app that you can download from our local Met Service that will give you for your area when it is likely to rain. Right? So please check it out. You can have that for your specific location and help you to better manage and plan for when you use what products, yes? The systemic products will last a little longer. Some of them, depending on which one, up to 3 weeks, right? So you want to make sure you are doing that switch based on the weather conditions as well. You want to sanitize your field. Remember you talked about the fallen leaves? All of that is going to help in reducing the level, cleaning that up, the level of disease that you have in your field. So sanitization, cleaning up those fallen leaves that you have, especially from your old crop, is going to be important, right? Your tools, disinfecting your tools that you use in the field, and also monitoring your crop. Remember, your crop is under stress because of attack from the disease. It means that you have to boost it up with some, it must not be stressed by anything else, because further stress is going to make it more and more susceptible to the disease. In order for it to stand up and be able to tolerate the disease pressure, it means it must not be short of water, so it must be getting adequate water. It must be getting the water at the right time too, and it must also be getting the right amount of nutrients when it needs it along the production cycle. So reducing that general stress level on the plant is also going to help in letting that plant be better able to fight against disease. All right? So everything works together. And so I'm going to jump over this one because I did talk about it, your systemics versus your contact products. They are available. They will help in reducing the amount of disease that you have. Apply them, especially based on your weather conditions, and they will help in allowing you to produce your soft yams and get good yields as well. All right, a number of products are available. You do not have to leave here without getting a handout. If they're not physically there, we can give you a soft copy of them. Please make sure, particularly for our farmers who are planting the yam now, that you have a copy of it. And you can contact us if you have any more questions. All right? Thank you so very much.
All right, good afternoon again. I'm allocated 20 minutes, but 30, but I promise you I will not use 5 because I know that time is running and you would be interested in getting home. So I'll be as short as possible. Question for you. Are you excited about what you've heard today? Yeah. Fantastic. That's half my work done. So 15 minutes gone because you're already excited. Yeah. Okay. So the thing I want to ask you now is, we are all concerned about, so what next? So we heard all these wonderful things, right? So you want to know, so where do we go from here? And how do we move from here? And do we move as individuals or do we move together? What is going to be the process? So I know those are the questions you have on your mind. We don't have the time to discuss it all here, but what I want to tell you is that the SAC project is going to be facilitating the conversation around this. We are going to be staying in touch with our partners, the input suppliers, Jampro, RADA, because we work together on these things. So we will figure out where we go from here, but we do know where we want to go. We don't know how. What I'm going to do, I will leave you with a few questions. If you feel that you are excited about this, I want to ask you, you don't have to answer me, but you ask yourself, what opportunities do you see for getting involved in the production of these seed yams? If you see an opportunity, then you ask yourself, how can that opportunity benefit you? Because I want you to, when you answer these questions, then you are entering into the process of seed production knowing why you want to do it. The other thing I want you to ask yourself is, do I have the skill or the knowledge or the competency to produce yam? If you don't, that's all right, because there's RADA and there is the input suppliers, and they can help you to learn how to produce it. But the big one is, do you have the will to get into it? Because you see, you can always build a skill, but if your mind got broken very quickly and you're out, that's a totally different thing. So ask yourself, do you have that? Then the next thing I want you to ask yourself, do you think you have to walk this journey alone? Or are there people there who are going to help to hold your hand and to dust off your knee when you stumble and you fall? If you think that you don't have to walk this journey alone and there will be people there, then I think that that's a good place to be. But then the next question comes, who will be the ones who are there to dust off your knee and to encourage you to go along? Well, they were all on the stage there, and there are many more. So the thing is now you'd have to ask yourself, how do I get access to them? Ask yourself and answer the question yourself, because you know how you can get access to them. There are the RADA officers, there are the RADA parish managers, there are the input suppliers and their staff, there is the SAC staff. So there are many, many people. So access to information is something that we will have to discuss to figure out how you will get that. And the last thing, do you think we can get to a stage where all of you and many more can get seed yams if we work on our own, or do we have to get together and partner and coordinate to do this? Excellent. So we're mindful about that, and we want you to know that when we leave here today, we're very mindful that there's a lot of work still to be done to get everybody to get the support, the information access, the knowledge, and we are going to be working on that, and information will be flowing to you through the staff of the various partners, but the responsibility, SAC will take that responsibility for now to coordinate all of this. The thing about it is that SAC ends technically in a year, but yam production will not end. Yam production will really be starting. So let's put our head together to get this right and to make sure that next time I come to Jamaica, me and yam sweet yam. Thank you.
Wow, Munish, you're officially a Jamaican. Where is Speaker? Where is Speaker? Can we give him his citizenship, please? Him say Niam and him say good. Yes, you want to say that?
No, I just wanted to ask, suppose you're a person who wants to go in the production of sweet yam. What is the price for one, maybe one plant?
There is a beautiful question. If you want to go in sweet yam production, what is the cost for seed? If you want to go in seed yam production, what's the cost for one seedling? I am going to direct you to Mr. Murray. Where's Mr. Murray? So I'm going to ask you to take that question to Mr. Murray. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen,
give him this.
My farmers, I'm not seeing Mr. Murray. Oh, just a sec. Mr. Murray, this gentleman wants to know the cost for one seedling. I guess he wants to start his business selling seed yam.
Well, that will be very simple. If you agree with the one I took out of the crate, it weighed about ½ pound. But I'm sure I could cut it into 5 and then split it or get 10. So from ½ pound of yam, I could be making 10 yams. So I'd provide the treatment, fertilizer, and to grow it up. And that cost will be between $80 and $100. And to allow you to make a 30% profit, you could easily sell it for $150 for one piece of that seed yam in the tray. And at that time, you still would be half the price it costs you for a yam head.
Oh, Mr. Murray, it seems as if you need to stay closer. 3 questions and then that's it. Wait, I have a question from this gentleman. He asked if it is a must, if it is mandatory for the seedlings to be grown in a greenhouse.
Definitely no. So at Shudley in Manchester, and I hope Mr. Scott is still around. So we made the seed bed and they started growing. it was far more than enough to plant his little greenhouse. And he went outside and planted them. And even though he planted them more than a month after, they all came into production same time and bore no less than half pound from the little piece.
So a question right here.
What if you don't have the coconut or the sawdust?
Then all you have to do is check the soya, man. The same sawdust you use in the chicken coop. You get that sawdust. I would prefer to go to a pit that have sawdust from last year and the year before. I wouldn't want to use the fresh one. You see, now a coffee farmer come find me out. Yes, if you have old coffee trash, that would also be very perfect. Especially if you're using the worms to break it down. Then it looks just like the sawdust, well broken down, ready to use. Don't use the fresh one.
Somebody's asking if we can use peanut trash.
Peanut trash, perfect. But I would crush it up first so that the particles are not too big, so that when I wet it, I know it is covered and it's kept moist.
All right, so now make me work harder.
Where do I get the yam to start with?
That is the powerhouse question. If I were like you and I come here today, whoever the officer that invite me to come, I would go and start pressuring them. Say me now go home unless me carry 1 pound of yam. But remember saying no, only you me tell, me not tell nobody else.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, my farmers. Listen, music man, cue winning from Sasko. Cue it. You don't have it? No, sir. Him don't have winning. What you have? What you have? Look for winning, man. You must have it. So, I did prepare a closing remark, so I have to read what I prepare, and then we just chat one away, see? What a day, what a day, what a day. A beautiful day, isn't it? Give yourself a clap. Give yourself a clap. My cheerleading squad right here, so give yourself a clap. You have earned yourself roast yam and saltfish. On your way home, stop down at the yam park and tell them I sent you. Who is I? We've explored the history, the varieties, and the opportunities of soft yam farming, didn't we? We've heard from experts and from you, our farmers, who make this industry thrive. But remember, knowledge is only as powerful as the action we take. And I hear you're ready to take action. You want to know where you can buy the yam head? Good. So, as we leave here today, let's commit to applying what we have learned and supporting each other. When I was growing up, there was something called morning sport. Anybody know about morning sport? Morning sport is when you have like 5 or 10 farmers in a one community, and everybody say, we are coming your ground today. And the wives in that household for that farmer cook the nicest food. Here the people them up at town don't know them something there. That don't know it. Okay, you don't have it. All right. So in order for us to continue to grow, thrive, and succeed, we have to be in collaboration. We have to work together. So on behalf of the organizers, Munish, Nelsa, Rada, Wusk, everybody, we just stand on your feet and let's say, thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's continue the discussions, people. Let's share ideas and, of course, enjoy the rest of the day. Have a great day. Music man, cue winning. We're winning right now. Win, 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 win.